They told you that being grateful meant only saying thank you and acting like everything was fine. But if that were true, then why do so many people feel empty after making a list of their blessings? Why do we still feel like there's too much to do, too much noise, and too much pressure? Being grateful isn't about hiding your pain or putting on a fake smile. It's about seeing what's been there all along, clearly and deeply. Buddhism is the key to real, deep gratitude, the kind that changes the way you see everything, not to fake gratitude, the kind that gives your morning coffee a holy taste, your worst day a softer feel, and everyday moments a sense of purpose. Buddhist masters didn't learn to be thankful from fortune cookies. They learned to be thankful through silence, pain, and seeing the leaves fall, and understanding that nothing is owed and everything is a gift. They learned that pain can make your heart open. It's possible for nothing to be ugly. Right now, the breath you're taking can lead you to peace. Your mind will start to slow down as you listen tonight. The noise will get quieter. Your heart will know what it's like to be here without reaching out or judging. Just breathe and notice. There will be a change when you wake up. You'll feel more than just thankful. You'll feel alive. It's not just another story for sleep. This is different from what I usually see. A fresh start for your soul. The quiet truth you've always known is coming back. Are you ready to remember what's important? Let's start. Now, as the night grows quiet and the noise dies down, let's talk about one of the most powerful facts in all of Buddhism. It's not exciting, it doesn't yell, but it changes everything once it gets into your heart. This is the lesson that can help you be truly grateful for everything, not just the good things. The only way to gain a deeper respect for life is to let go of its grip on you. When you give up trying to beat time, when you stop wanting things to stay the same in a world that wasn't meant to last, when you get what you want, you don't feel that kind of deep, soul-opening thanks. You can feel it when you know that nothing and no one will last forever. That's the strange gift of change. When the truth starts to sink in, not just as an idea, but as something deep inside, things change. All of a sudden, every second counts. Every hug gets softer. Each meal tastes better, not because of changes in the world, but because of changes in you. When people don't expect things to last, appearance is all that matters. In Buddhism, change is not seen as a tragedy. It talks to it like a teacher, one that tells us things we're too busy to hear, like how you don't even notice when your child grows up in front of you, or how the sun will never shine quite the same way on your face again, or how the people you love are memories one day and here the next. Most people try to freeze time in their lives by holding on to moments, controlling what happens, and stopping things from changing. But the loss hurts more when the grip is tight. When you clench your hands, gratitude doesn't grow. Open your hands and let it grow. When you start to open your hands, eyes, and heart, you see what was always there, the beauty of life, waiting to be enjoyed. Knowing that this whole thing is only brief makes you feel more grateful than anything else. It doesn't make you worry to know that the people you see on the street, the feeling in your chest, the beat of your heart, and the air in your lungs are all going away as you notice them. You have to pay attention. The peace you feel when you know something bad is going to end is strange. It's true, though. It keeps you grounded. It wakes you up. Don't miss this, it says. Do not wait. Do not sleepwalk through the only life you get. At that point, being thankful stops being something you try to feel. It just takes place. It turns into the natural thing to do in reaction to the miracle of now. Buddhist monks do walking meditations not to get somewhere, but to be aware of what they are doing, to be able to touch the ground, to hear the trees blowing in the wind, because each step becomes holy when it is thought that it could be the last. Every second shines when you stop squandering time. This isn't just empty words, it's a fact for people who train their minds to see it, and anyone who wants to stop can use it. In Zen Buddhism, there is a story about a man who was being chased by a cat. He runs and grabs a vine as he falls off a cliff. A second tiger waits below while he hangs there. Then he sees a strawberry growing in the grass next to him. He takes it off, eats it, and says, "Delicious. That's all for now. No way out. Not a miracle. Just being there." One of the last things he might ever enjoy is the taste of the strawberry. That is changelessness. That's being thankful. That's being free. People are taught to put off appreciating things in modern life, to say, "I'll be thankful when I have more money, success, and stability." But Buddhism turns that around. Be thankful now, it says. You won't get another chance like this ever, so enjoy it while you can. It's a present, a message to keep your eyes open, to love people while they're still alive. Love the present while it lasts. To say thank you, even when things are going wrong, not because everything is fine, but because you saw something before it went away. When you hold pain gently, it turns into something holy. It makes you remember that you are human, of your being living, of the beautiful, fragile mess that is life. There is a quiet strength that grows when you understand that even pain and sadness will go away. Change won't hurt you. You get into the flow. That flow, that giving up, is where thankfulness starts to grow. In the West, people are told to hold on. But for Buddhists, the way is to let go. Giving up is not the same as letting go. Letting go means believing that life will go as it should. The seasons shift. Our bodies age. Some relationships change. Grief comes and goes. Joy does too. Everything moves. You can learn something from that movement that you can't learn from a book. This is the truth, and no teacher can make you believe it. When someone you care about dies, you feel it. When a kid moves out, when the music stops and there is no sound. And something grows in that silence if you pay close attention. It's not loud, it's not flashy. It's true, though. I didn't miss it, you say with thanks. I went through it. I saw it. I loved it. I let it go now. It's hard to learn this lesson. It takes guts to stop acting like things will always be the same. It wants you to relax places where you've become hard, to start over where you left off, to give in to what you used to fight. The peace that comes from giving up is different, though. It doesn't depend on anything else. Being aware of this moment as it is, full of gifts and short-lived, brings peace. When you don't need things to last forever, strange things start to happen. You love them more now. You need to slow down. You no longer numb. You start to feel. That feeling, even when it's sad, turns into something you wouldn't trade for anything since it means you're still living, fully living, not just thriving, but really living. When was the last time you cried because something ended? One with someone, an episode, a day that was important. The pain in your heart is the twin of thanks. It's not being weak. It shows that you paid attention, that you were interested, that something was important enough to hurt when it was gone, and that pain, you shouldn't run away from that. Thank you for that, because it shows you cared. Change doesn't just make us appreciate the good things in life. It makes us thankful that we can feel anything at all. For the way a winter wind cuts through the air, for the way the sun moves across the water, for the way an emotional voice cracks, for every warning that this world is beautiful but short-lived. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more you realize that nothing lasts, the more you live. More often you say, "I love you." You pay more attention. There is no longer a perfect time. You are now living in the present. You choose to live because it's short, not because it's safe, and every second is important. So, as you go to sleep tonight, let this truth sink deep into your being. You won't always have what you have. Don't feel, not a problem, not having it, no one. That's not a reason to give up, though. That's why you should look more closely. To use both hands to hold your teacup, to feel how heavy the blanket is around you, to feel the beat of your breath. Where expectation ends is where gratitude starts. And that's where you stop wanting stability and start appreciating presence. The lessons of impermanence in Buddhism whisper this wisdom. Life is not something you own. It's something you take part in, completely, with love. In short. And there is everything in the short flash of time between birth and death. That should be enough. Take a big breath in. Do not stress your body. Calm down your mind. As the quiet truth of change sinks into your bones, the kind of truth that makes you loosen your grip on everything you thought you needed, the next question that comes to mind is, what about the hard days? What about the hurt, the fear, and the failures that seem to take away all the color from life? It's easy to be thankful when things are beautiful, but what if life is heavy? This is where one of Buddhism's most radical lessons comes out. Be thankful not after the storm, but during it. When things are going well, it's simple to be thankful. When the breeze feels good on your skin, food is on your plate, and laughter can be heard down the hall. What do you do when things go wrong? What do you do when you lose your job, your relationship stops, you get a bad news, or the room is too quiet? That makes gratitude seem out of place or even rude. Still, that's where its power lies. You don't have to act like everything is fine when it's not in Buddhism. It doesn't ask you to smile when you're sad. It wants you to sit down with it, to stay. It's important to feel the pain and look more closely, not to judge it or wish it away, but to learn from it. Because pain, even if it sounds weird, is not the enemy. A lot of the time, it's the way to something greater. The Buddha didn't start his road by trying to get away from pain. He began his journey by facing it. It wasn't a curse to see sickness, old age, and death for the first time. It was a wake-up call. He opened his eyes because of the pain. That led to the birth of a whole new kind of knowledge, a kind of wisdom that doesn't need constant happiness to feel grateful. Instead, it learns how to feel grateful just by being living in all its many forms. We are taught to judge our happiness by how good we feel these days. You can't judge a book by its shiny cover, though. There is no polish on real life. It's a mess. It's real. It's heavy sometimes. There is, however, something wholly present at those times if we choose to see it. Gratitude is weak when it is tied to happiness alone. It breaks when the joy goes away. But when gratitude is based on knowledge, it can't be shaken. It doesn't depend on what happens. It lives in being there. When things are bad, you don't ask, "How can I get away from this?" This leads to the question, what is this moment trying to teach me? And it's when you go from being resistant to being curious that thanks can sneak in like a soft light through a crack in the wall. You start to see that the fight itself has gifts hidden inside it. It's possible for pain to clean, humble, and link us. That even being confused can be a way to find your way. Without pain, there is no growth. That is not an inspiring phrase. It is a fact. They tear before they get stronger. People's hearts break before they can learn to grow bigger. The thing that hurts you the most can be the very thing that teaches you what you needed to know the whole time. In those times, being grateful isn't about enjoying the pain. It has to do with figuring out what the pain is making you feel. Buddhists believe that pain is not a mistake. It's a road. In no way is it a punishment for living badly. When our ties, expectations, and illusions run into real life, it's called friction. And when those lies fall apart, truth is what's left. How people really are. The truth about wanting other people. What it's really like to not be in charge. And even though everything is a mess, you start to notice that you are still living. You're still here. At this point, gratitude isn't loud. You don't have to grit your teeth and say how thankful you are. It's not noisy. It shows up when you cry and know that the tears are a sign that your heart is still beating. It shows up when you're worn out but still want to keep going. When you've lost something important and something else is rising in its place, like strength, clarity, or humility, it shows up. The Buddhist faith tells a story about a woman named Kisa Gotami. Her grief over losing her son made her go to the Buddha and beg him to bring her son back. He told her to find a mustard seed in a house where no one had died. She went to every house and knocked on every door. Every story she heard was one of loss, grief, and sadness. She came back without the seed, but with fresh eyes. Her pain wasn't going away, but how she felt about it had. It turned out that she wasn't alone. Once they knew that, a strange peace came over them. That's the kind of thanks that pain can bring out. Not happiness about what happened, but deep respect for what it shows. Fire is the only place where strength can grow, something you can only know after being broken open. It's natural to feel glad after going through something hard because it makes you softer, more aware, and more compassionate. Not because it hurt, but because it made you realize the truth. Lots of times, people think they can't be thankful until they're better. But the truth is that being thankful can help you get better. It doesn't take away the pain. Still, it gives it thought. From meaningless chaos, it changes into holy transformation. Even this has value, it says. You can use even this. Even though it's dark now, this moment is still a part of something bigger. That's not simple. You have to practice. It takes being there. you have to be ready to sit with pain without numbing it, running away, or pretending it's not there. That being said, the more you do it, the more you see the deeper parts of your problems, the small ways that life is still holding you back, the quiet ways that things are already getting better below the surface. Then you start to thank not only the light, but also the dark. At the top of the mountain, it's easy to be thankful, but the valley changes the way you breathe, to move more slowly, to see things from below that you wouldn't have seen from above. And one day, you'll realize that the worst times often were the ones that made the best times possible, that the most light got in through the holes in your story. After that, your thanks won't depend on things going your way. It will come from a deeper place. It's based on the idea that pain is like a teacher in strange clothes. It shows up out of the blue, most of the time at the worst times, and leaves gifts you didn't know you needed. It teaches you to be humble, patient, strong, and caring. You can see what's underneath after the top is taken away, and that's the real, raw, honest you, hidden beneath the noise, the roles, and the show. The one who can be thankful even when things are bad. Instead of trying to feel only happiness, you can connect with the heart of Buddhist thanks when you accept whatever comes up. It's not a deal. It's not feel good so I can give thanks. It's a way of being in the world that says, I am here. It's getting to me. This is something I will learn from. You no longer feel like life is against you when things are hard. You know it's making you feel better. When you are aware of the pain, you start to feel more grateful, not despite it, but because of it. If you're lying in bed tonight with a heavy heart, this is your chance to change the way you see things. Not to dismiss your pain, but to see what else is here as well. Is there air? Is there silence? What new things have you learned? Someone who stayed? There was something inside you that wouldn't give up. That's where the thankfulness lives. In other words, not just when everything is lovely, but in the ones that make you fall and give you the strength to get back up. That's more thankfulness than happiness, and that kind of thanks will always be there. Something starts to change when thanks isn't tied to happiness and grows even when things are bad. Things start to look different to the eyes. Not just the big events, but also the small ones. The ones that don't make much noise. These are the ones that most people miss because they're hunt for fireworks. But in Buddhism, these quiet times are often where the deepest knowledge is found. Not the big acts of kindness, but the small ones that go unrecognized. The quick smile, the door stayed open, the tea someone makes for you without being asked. Tonight, we'll slow down enough to see them. A certain kind of gift never comes out and says hello. It does not ring the bell. It doesn't share on social networks. It moves slowly through your day, leaving only the warmth it brings with it. These are the silent gifts, the kind deeds that go unseen but hold life together in a way that schools never teach, but that everyone needs. The person who stands in front of you in line, the person next door who water your plants while you're not there, the stranger who sees you're lost and gives directions without being asked. These things don't deserve praise, but they have a holy weight to them. Buddhism asks us to take a closer look at these everyday interactions. It shows that kindness and thanks can grow in the most unexpected places. Most people are taught to show gratitude when good things happen, like when they get a gift or a raise. But a mind that is aware of the present moment starts to see the good things that happen in life between the bad news, the kind of help that doesn't cost anything, but makes everything better. It's easy to miss silent gifts because they don't speak up. They are in the background, somewhere that doesn't get much attention. Mindfulness, on the other hand, trains the mind so that even the smallest movements say a lot. The soft nod from someone who feels your pain and doesn't need to fix it. The friend who really means it when they say, "I'm here." The way someone gives you your favorite drink without you having to say a word. There is no chance in these acts. This is an offering. When you start to notice them, they make your life feel rich in a way that no material things could ever do. This understanding doesn't just happen. It needs to be done more slowly. Being ready to be there. To see how your life is helped in ways you didn't ask for or usually didn't expect. You begin to notice the person who is always nice when they answer your emails, even when you're upset. The way someone cleans up after other people without getting in the way. Being able to read or drive on a road that is smoother or with less bumps. Everything is linked, and you should pay attention to everything. It gets easier to be grateful the more you do it. Taking note of silent gifts is one of the most powerful things you can do, because it changes the way you see the world. All of a sudden, the everyday becomes holy. What was lost is now important. Things that were forgotten become valuable. You start to feel supported, not by a big miracle, but by a million small acts of kindness that are all around you like air. According to Buddhist thought, this kind of awareness leads to mudita, which means joyful appreciation. A joy that doesn't depend on getting something for yourself, but on seeing good happen in the world. There's something about seeing someone help someone else that makes your heart swell. It's the smile you give when you see someone pick up something someone else dropped. When someone stops to comfort a crying child, it spreads love. This is not just being nice on the outside. Realizing that we are all people is what it means. It changes everything. When you start to notice small good things around you, your problems start to go away. You no longer see the world as dangerous. Don't think that everyone is greedy. You start to notice the quiet work that other people are doing all the time. The way people you've never met touch your life. That person who brings you food when it rains. The person who answers the 10th call from a customer that day. When you understand how much hidden kindness runs through your life, you feel more grateful. There is meaning in even the smallest encounters. The way someone listens without talking over you. How someone waits just a bit longer so you can cross the street. The way a teacher stays late to go over something again. These aren't jobs. These gifts are quiet. And when they are accepted with thanks, they change both the person who gives them and the person who receives them. Because people become more kind when they see it. You do more than just follow the social norm when you thank the person who holds the elevator door open for you. You send a message that everything is still fine in the world. This is a very different way to show thanks. The stars don't have to line up for it to work. It does not wait for things to go well. It just opens its eyes. And when you look at life this way, even the everyday things become magical. The hand that holds your cup steady, the friend who takes time to answer, the stranger who smiles for no reason. Everything blends into a gentle flow of care that flows below the chaos of modern life. Sati, which means mindful presence, is the Buddhist word for this kind of attention. It calms the mind so it can rest in awareness without judging. Being grateful is easy when sati is strong. You start to feel how much you are held by the unseen web of human kindness. You're not really alone, even when you're by yourself. Your house was built by someone. Someone cleaned your water. The rice in your bowl came from a farm. When you see these links, your gratitude grows. When you feel how different things depend on each other and support your life. And this isn't about making the world seem more beautiful. You don't have to act like everyone is always nice. It's about deciding to see things that most people don't, to pay attention to the good things that are still there despite all the noise. Because you start to become more like them the more you notice them. Soon, you won't just see silent gifts, you'll be one. You start helping people before they ask you to. You pay more attention and judge less. Why do you hold the door? It's not because it's nice, it's an extension of what you know. Your kindness gets softer, deeper, and less centered on yourself. Thank you is enough. You don't need to be noticed. The fact that you are there is itself an offering. That's how Buddhists serve, not in a big, flashy way, but with a careful mind. The surprising part is that you feel more attached when you give more, without expecting to be seen. Because the purpose, not the recognition, is what makes the bond. The quiet wish that you are there to make someone else's pain a little less. That's what makes life worth living. You don't need fame or money to feel like your existence made someone else's life easier. Being thankful for silent gifts isn't just about noticing other people. It's also about noticing how you can help without making a fuss. What you say, how you move, how patient you are, and the small decisions you make all have power. How you say hello to someone, how you forgive them without making them feel bad, the way you carefully answer a question even when you're tired. These things are important. These things make waves. When you live your life in this way, it feels less like a race and more like a sacred crew working together. Gratitude that goes deep isn't just felt, it's lived. The way you see people shows it, in the time you take to think before answering, in how you act when no one is looking. These are the things that bring peace to your heart. The world is less of a battlefield and more of a sanctuary when you know how to spot silent blessings. A place where even the smallest actions can be heard all the way through. As you lay your head down tonight, remember this. Most of the nice things people did for you today will never be written down, shared online, or said out loud. But it did happen. It made you who you are now. It held you. You can share it with others tomorrow, but not with big news. Instead, you can say some small, quiet prayers. That's what keeps the world going more than anything else. When you learn to see the silent gifts around you, like the kind acts that go unnoticed and the small actions that make life feel softer, something else starts to change. More in depth. That's because the next level of thanks doesn't come from what other people do or what they give you. Learning to accept things as they are is a rare and brave thing to do. Not just the good parts, everything, and not with anger or sadness, but with thanks that is so strong that things don't have to be different to be at peace. This is where being thankful turns into a way of being free. When it's not a response to something good happening and is instead a way of dealing with the real world. Buddhism doesn't tell you to only love good things. They help you get closer to the truth, even if it makes you feel bad. To stop arguing about things that are already there. Because whenever you think, this shouldn't be happening, you take your mind off of the moment. You return to your power every time you say, this is what's here, and I will meet it fully. Giving up is not part of radical acceptance. It's not a passivity. Facing life without running away is a brave thing to do. When that kind of presence is met with gratitude that isn't forced but decided, it starts to open up something inside. It loses its grip on the need to rule. It starts to get easier not to compare, fix, and judge things. You finally let out a breath. You don't need your plans to come true for you to be whole anymore. You can be thankful even when things aren't going well. Because you know that every happy moment, every sad moment, and every dull Tuesday afternoon are all connected. In this way, being thankful is like saying yes. It's not because everything is fine, but because everything is real. And being real is enough. According to Buddhist psychology, pain is caused by struggle. Because they wish their life was better. Because they hold on to what's good and push away what hurts. But there is a greater peace that starts to show up when you stop playing tug-of-war with the present moment. That peace makes you thankful, not because you got what you wanted, but because you no longer need it. Saying, "This is where I am," is a very powerful thing to do. This is how I feel. This is what life is giving me right now. Being honest like that is the key to healing. And when you add gratitude to it, it turns into something even stronger: freedom. A lot of people don't feel thankful until things get better. But Buddhism says that being thankful for everything is the best way to be thankful. When it says, thank you, even when things aren't clear, not because it hurts, but because it can help you see things more clearly, not because it's hard, but because it helps you grow. At this point, gratitude doesn't wait for the sun to shine. It stands in the rain and says, this also belongs. When you accept radical acceptance, you stop putting off your happiness. It means that you don't need the next part to look a certain way in order to be happy right now. You are asked to stop fighting the present moment and start accepting it, no matter how bad it is, even if it's a mess. Even more so then. You might be living the right life right now, so what if this version of it is good? What if it's not a side trip, but a part of your path? Things get softer when thanks starts to ask those kinds of questions. You should no longer dislike your schedule. You stop trying to be better than you are. Stop seeing this as something you just have to get through. You start to be here. Really. This kind of thanks doesn't ignore the hurt. It has it in it. It doesn't act like everything is fine. It reads, this hurts, but I trust it has a purpose. It's not easy to trust. It's put together one moment at a time. Pick and choose. But after a while, your desire to stay open is the only thing that stays the same. It's not your plans, your circumstances, or other people. It takes a lot of work to try to change things that can't be changed, not wanting the past to be the way it was, stressing that things won't go the way you want them to, seeing your feelings as wrong, judging your body as not good enough, putting your life behind. That whole loop breaks when you accept things as they are. It says, I'm going to stop waiting for peace to come to me and start making it right now. Being thankful becomes the key to making this happen, because life starts to look different once you stop trying to change it. You become aware that your breath is still moving, that your heart is still beating, that this experience is being carried out by the body you've been attacking for years, that the people in your life have come into it in their own unique way, even if they're not perfect. You made it even when they didn't. Thank you for that. Not because everything went perfectly, but because you kept going. You changed. You kept going. In Buddhism, it is said, the path is not somewhere else. It's right under your feet. Being thankful for what is, not what could have been or what might be, keeps you on that road. It takes you back to the depth of this step. This breathe in, let this out. And that's the only place where peace really exists. Having this kind of thanks also makes you more gentle, the kind that doesn't make you feel like you have to fix yourself all the time. The need to upgrade, improve, and optimize all the time. There is a question in radical acceptance. What if you're already enough? What if your worth isn't hidden in a different version of yourself in the future? What if being thankful for just waking up today is enough? What if the hardest parts of your life showed you who you really are? When everything works out, it's easy to be thankful. That kind of thankfulness, on the other hand, goes away as soon as the clouds come in. Being deeply grateful is like the moon. It's bright at night too. It doesn't have to be in perfect light to shine. It only needs you to be there. You're ready to say, this is hard, but I'm still here. That's important. When gratitude won't leave you in the storm, it turns into wild gratitude. When it stays with you when you're sad. There is still something beautiful here, it says through tears. And sometimes the beauty is easy. The way a friend texts to see how things are going, how your body helps you get through a rough day, the way that quiet stops being scary and starts to feel good. It's not a miracle, but they are everything. Accepting things doesn't mean you have to like them all. It means making the choice to stop fighting life. And being thankful helps you make that choice without being angry. You can look at your life, even the hard parts, and say, this is mine. I went through it. I learned. I grew, which makes the heart soft. It doesn't get rid of the past. In honor of it, it also lets you keep going with less weight. It's not always about changing your life that brings you the most peace. Sometimes it's about changing how you deal with your life. That change is talked about in terms of gratitude. To survive, it turns into respect. It changes harshness into kindness. It helps you remember that this moment is still valuable, even though it has flaws. And once you start living this way, you start to trust again, not just when things are going well, but also when life is daily, uncertain, and messy. Not because you already know what will happen, but because you know you'll face it with an open heart and a truth-filled mind and heart. That is a deep sense of thanks. Now that's real peace. You don't need to change anything to feel free tonight. Let this thought echo in your mind as you rest deeper into this moment. Because life starts to come to you when you stop fighting it. The way it is, the way you are, that's more than enough. When you stop wanting things to change in order to be at peace and start accepting life as it is, new things begin to happen. More of an awareness and a more subtle kind of beauty. The mind starts to calm down. The noise gets less loud. Another kind of thanks starts to show up in that stillness. It's not for what's going to happen next, but for what's happening now. Not the future you want or the past you miss, but the quiet beauty that is sown into every everyday moment you used to miss. This is where being grateful turns into being present. And just being there is the gift. There's a happiness that doesn't depend on accomplishments, praise, or big events. It comes from all five of our senses, from being who you are in every way. Taking in the feel of the air as it touches your face. Listening to the soft hum of life going on around you. Taking note of how a blanket feels warm, how your breath moves in and out, and the mild taste of water on your mouth. These are the gifts of the present moment that you can't see. They are small things that are easy to miss, but have a big impact when you do. According to Buddhism, the present moment is the goal, not a place to stop. A lot of people, though, rush through life looking for something else. There isn't more in the future, though. What's already here holds more, even if it doesn't seem like much at first glance. You understand how much life has to offer when you really pay attention to your senses, not by making noise, but by being quiet. That is, not by amount, but by depth. You don't have to go to the woods or a monastery to do this. One breath is all it takes. Each bite of food gave you a full taste. One step walked slowly. You become more grateful when you let the world touch you again, not as an idea, but as a real person or thing. The body turns into a doorway. The air can teach you. Things begin to feel living. Everything changes when you stop looking for what's missing and start seeing what's there. More light shines through the sky. As you wash the dishes, the feel of the water on your hands can be like a gentle meditation. It's a quiet wonder how the air smells after it rains. There is nothing else you need to do. You just need to pay more attention. You'll feel grateful, like water coming out of a spring you didn't know was there. This kind of thanks doesn't come to mind. It makes the body rise. It talks to us through our feelings. You can tell by the soft pulse in your fingers. Because of the way your steps sound, your shoulders loosen up when you hear a nice voice. It's enough without words. It only needs your care. You feel the gift of now more the more you pay attention, not because it's weird, but because it's real. Buddha taught that being mindful is more than just paying attention to your thoughts. It's about how you feel in life, going all the way into it, being aware of the temperature at the moment, really hearing, having good vision, not too fast, being aware of the little things that you miss when you're in a hurry to get somewhere else. This doesn't mean that goals or ambitions are bad. They're going back to what makes them happy, because success doesn't mean anything without presence. Life gets fuzzy when you're not there. When you don't need big reasons to feel grateful, it grows. When the sun is enough to make you happy. When you hear your own breath and remember you're still here. When the quiet ticking of a clock becomes the beat of time moving through your open mind. These things do not make the world a better place. They do change how you live there, though. In the midst of all the things that are going on around you, they bring you back to the facts of being alive. And being alive is the real gift. Today, our attention is always being drawn to other things. Screens flash, notifications go off, thoughts go around. Being present, on the other hand, makes you want to come back. Come back to this moment, this chair, this breath, this sound. What's already here is more than enough when you do that. Not because it's great, but because it's awake. You can feel more of what the present has to offer the more you train your mind to stay in it. It starts to feel different to eat than to taste someone. in the middle of hearing and listening, in the middle of touching and feeling. Life is no longer taken for granted. You are ready to meet it with hands and eyes wide open. And being thankful stops being something you do. It turns into who you are. Every time has its own frequency, a feel, sound. You can hear it when you go more slowly, though. The flame of a candle, the soft buzzing sound of electricity, the steady sound of your breath coming in and out without you having to say anything. It's not just background information. They make music for now. It helps fix things that were making you feel bad the more you hear it. They tell their kids to focus on their breath, not to control it, but to feel it. Allow it to bring your mind back to the present moment. Take a deep breath in as it cools your nose, letting out air as it warms up. It's not exciting. It's true, though. It also serves as a reminder that you are living. That's enough reason to be thankful. When you do this practice, you become softer, getting back in touch with yourself. Not the self that is doing or getting things done, but the self that is just here, being, getting, taking note. When you feel the ground beneath your feet and say, "This is enough," that appreciation doesn't take any work. It comes from being there, from being ready to take a moment to accept what is already being given. And gifts that only you can see are sometimes the most beautiful. When you touch something warm after being cold, the calm feeling you get when you take a deep breath. When a friend says one word that hits you hard and makes you lose your guard. You can't post or measure these things. They are real, though. They change you from the inside out. This is why Buddha said that the way is to be aware, because being aware opens up everything. Life meets you fully when you're here, and being thankful becomes the normal thing to do. It's not because the moment is rare, it's because you are there to see it. You don't need to slow down for this. It has to do with paying more attention, about how to learn to value the present moment, not the future one. The gift is already here, not some time from now. Taking deep breaths through your nose right now is the gift. It's the blanket on your legs making you feel heavy. What you're hearing is your heart beating like a drum that has been there since the day you were born. There is nothing that the present moment wants. It only gives, over and over. You stop wanting more when you see what it gives you, without the noise, the flash, or the need to prove anything. What you're after is already here, and you start getting, being fully aware, with heart wide open. So, this is the only thing you need to do tonight. Not to make plans, look into things, or fix things. To feel, to pay attention, to receive the gifts of now that you can't see, the ones who are waiting in the dark, in the comfort, in the void between your thoughts. They're not too loud. There's no need to hurry. But they're always there. You won't need anything else to change once you start to feel them. You'll just stay here. It will finally feel like home here. Now is enough when the sound of your breath, the feel of your skin, and the softness of the silence are seen as life itself, not just background noise. Then something even deeper starts to rise. A more profound kindness, more of the truth. We often feel most present when we lose something, not when we win something. And while gratitude in times of comfort is nice, gratitude in times of loss has a weight that words can't explain. It has to be felt. It lets you in. It makes you humble. And, for some reason, it can make you feel the most grateful you've ever been. Loss is not an idea. It is something that goes through the body. After a voice goes away, there is quiet. Where there used to be laughing, there is now silence. The pain where being familiar used to give you something to hold on to. Loss always comes at a bad time, whether it's the death of a loved one, the end of a relationship, the end of a dream, or the slow disappearance of your old self. It comes in without notice and changes the way your world looks. Loss is part of Buddhism. It doesn't make it sound better or more appealing. It comes right up to it. The lessons start with the first noble truth, which says that life is full of pain. Not to make you sad or give up, but to be honest about what it means to be human. And the seed of waking is in that honesty. Because we stop being shocked by loss when we stop acting like we can't lose. We start to notice what's still here more when we're not surprised by anything new. You can't be grateful after losing someone without ignoring your pain. That's what it means to really feel it, from letting your sadness say what it needs to say. To gently hold on to sadness, like a guest who didn't plan to stay but needs to be seen. In Buddhism, you don't have to get over your sadness quickly. In fact, people have a lot of respect for how grief works, slowly, in peace, for real. And as it goes on, it often shows something deeper, clarity. Clarity that makes clear what was important. It mattered who, what's left, and what was never really lost in the first place. The mind naturally tries to fill the empty room when something is taken away. But Buddhism tells you to take a break, to be with the empty chair, the phone that hasn't been answered, and the quiet times when you can't find a familiar face. Because during that moment, something strange starts to rise. Not just sad. Honor, though. Respect for what was. Thank you for how deeply you felt. Honor that you loved someone enough to feel this kind of loss. A Zen proverb says, "Let go or be dragged." But in Buddhism, letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean forgetting about the past or acting like it didn't happen. It means letting go of something you can't hold on to and setting your hands gently on what's left. Because something always does. A thought, something, a kindness you now show more often. You don't have to be over your loss to be grateful. It just tells you to take another look and see how life has changed. The way someone made you laugh, the way they made you feel seen, or the way they changed the way you see things are sometimes things that can never be taken away. When you stop focusing on what's gone and start appreciating what's still there, your gratitude grows. And not just in how you remember things, but also in how you act. In your company, in the way you act now. There is an idea in Buddhism called continuation, that nothing really stops. Things change into something else. The tree gets food from the dirt that the leaf turns into when it falls. When you cry, you help someone else heal. When you look at your sadness with soft eyes, it turns into a kind of gift. Someone to tell others that love leaves a mark. Being thankful after a loss is not a big deal. It's not noisy. That's when you look up and feel your loved one in the light. The smell of something known is what makes you think of a name. The quiet used to be painful, but now it makes me feel better. Today is the day you laugh again, not because the pain is gone, but because it's not the only thing you feel. You learn to pay attention in new ways after losing someone. You no longer believe that things will last. You don't think there will be time to wait anymore. And because of that, each moment stands out more. It makes every talk more holy. Don't keep it inside. You say the words. You use both ears to hear. You treasure the present moment not out of fear, but because you are deeply thankful for what is still possible. Buddhists do something called Maranasati, which means death awareness meditation. Every day, practitioners think about how fragile life is, not to be sad, but to wake up, to stop putting off love, to stop putting off being present. No longer believe that more time will always come along. Being aware of this doesn't make me sad. It makes you want to live fully right away. It makes you more thankful for the breath you still have. It is said that when you are sad, you should feel everything. Do not rush. Do not numb. Do not work on your strength. Let the sadness be a part of your way instead. Let it smooth out your edges. Let it help you understand how other people are feeling. Because of this, you start to see things you didn't see before. The way someone stays quiet in a room with you, but says everything at the same time. The way a light breeze can make you feel like someone is holding your back. The way that one flower blooming can mean more than a bunch of flowers put together. You can see that being present doesn't always mean having a body. You don't have to hold that love in order to feel it. There is a link even when people are not together. And in that way, thanks comes back, in peace, with power. Not because you lost someone, but because it helped you see a lot. What's left over is often more honest after something breaks, not as fancy, but more true. That's how loss works. It takes away the fantasy, it shows the truth. When you fully accept the truth, you are always grateful, not because everything is fine, but because it is true. They are still there. Even the people you've lost, the places you'll never go back to, and the seasons that went by too quickly. They live in the choices you make. They are always in your mind. They live in your ability to understand someone else's pain and say, I get it. This is a form of thanks. It says, this really hurt me. I'm still open though, and if you're still open, even though your heart is broken, you've already started to make loss holy. Monks in Buddhism chant not only for good luck, but also for people who have died. They use words not because they think the dead need them, but because they think the living need them. That love will never end. That memory is a way to connect. That sadness doesn't stop life. It's a thread that runs through it. And if you hold it carefully, it can teach you things of kindness, of kindness. It's not fake to be grateful when you've lost something. There are no silver linings or forced meanings here. To respect the depth of what you felt, the truth of what was said, and the truth of what was lost. Then, from that place of being completely honest, you look around and notice that there is still life. Time is still up. You can still give something. You can love even now. You can still hold. You remember. It's still okay to say thank you. It's not because you moved on, but because something inside you did. This evening, if there is someone or something you miss, make that missing holy. The pain should be a prayer. Let the love you gave someone else become the love you give them now, but in a different way. Loss can change what's possible, but it can't take away your ability to be here now, to feel present, to get bigger. And being there is the softest and strongest form of thanks there is. Loss can make you more aware of things. It makes something holy that you used to take for granted. When things happen, you have to enjoy them fully because they won't come back the same way. To feel that grateful, you have to be open. When your heart is that open, though, it's hard to keep it open in a world full of things that want your attention. Because something that steals gratitude more quietly than sadness is something else. Not pain, but noise. Not sadness, but being constantly interrupted. And that's more clear than ever in the digital world. Mindfulness in Buddhism means being present and fully feeling one thing at a time. But these days, most people live in pieces. Keep one eye on the screen. Use one hand to talk on the phone. There are a dozen tabs open in the mind's background. You're there, but not really. You're scrolling, but you can't see. They are connected, but not fed. And this lack of connection to the present is also a lack of connection to thanks. Being grateful doesn't happen in the past or the future, it happens right now. But the internet is made to take you away from the present moment. It feeds on need, novelty, and competition. It keeps you busy with updates, notifications, and dopamine hits that make you feel good for a moment, but make you hungry again later. That kind of hunger that can never be satisfied by a screen. You look at the phone one more time, once more. However, peace is what you really want. There is no way to download peace. To be grateful, you need to go deeper, but devices tend to keep you on the surface. As you scroll, your thought keeps going back to someone else's pain, happiness, or story. You can see and hear everything, but you're not linked to anything. Your mind is trained to seek stimulation, not enjoy stillness. Over time, it gets harder to enjoy the easy things, like the warmth of your tea, the look in someone's eyes, or the feel of a breeze. Retreating in Buddhism is not the same thing as running away. It's about coming back, going back to the self, to the air, to what is alive, real, and unfiltered. Detoxing from technology isn't a trendy task. It's an act of mental discipline. In this way, you protect your ability to see clearly, to really feel, to answer instead of react, and above all, to remember what's important. As soon as you turn off your electronics, your mind starts to race. It means you might miss something important. But that fear comes from habit more than from truth. During those times of silence, you realize how much you missed. The talk you weren't fully in, the food you didn't fully taste, and the music you stopped hearing because you were trying to record it instead of enjoying it. When you slow down enough to receive again, gratitude starts to come back. The mind starts to move. The nerves are awake. All of a sudden, something as normal as feeling the sun on your skin feels strange again. That's what attention can do. Tech is helpful, but it teaches you to split things up. When you take it back, your gratitude grows. Most of the time, Buddhist nuns don't have cell phones. They have chosen depth over distraction, not because they don't like current things. They know how important attention is, that your life goes where your mind goes, and if all of your attention is being taken up by fake urgency, then your real life, the one you can touch, is going on without you. Tech is not the bad guy, but use without thinking is. When you need your phone but don't know why, when you keep refreshing a screen, hoping for something that never comes up. You forget to be present in your own life when you get caught up in the lives of others. That's where thanks goes away, not in important times. In little, quiet leaks of presence. Being grateful doesn't need everything to be great. It only needs you to be aware of it. And being aware needs room. That's why digital detox is more than just a way to get more done. It's a way to clear your mind. It gives your nerve system a chance to start over, to once more feel silence, to keep an eye on your thoughts instead of letting them pull you. When you're clear, you start to value the things that don't change when you turn off your phone. Your breath stays, your body keeps going. There are still people around you. There's still sky over there. These are what really stays the same. When your mind isn't on a screen, though, you can really feel their skill. That's why even small breaks from technology can lead to something bigger. Getting rid of alerts, putting the phone somewhere else, going for a walk without anything to note, eating without doing anything else. These small things say a lot. I am here, and it's important to be here. Being present is necessary for gratitude, and being present needs room. The heart gets full when there isn't enough room, and a heart that is full can't feel deeply. That's why getting rid of digital noise is not only good for you, it's also healing. It gets rid of the noise so you can hear again. It's not news, not thoughts, but the steady, soft voice of life moving through you, the part of you that knows how to be amazed, how to see how beautiful something is, how to be thankful for something as easy as being quiet. Another kind of loneliness isn't the same as being alone. It comes from not being in touch with yourself. And screens make that separation even worse when used without thinking. It seems like everyone around you has a highlight reel, but you can't remember the last time you really felt connected to your own happiness. Being that far away makes you feel restless, to nothingness. Just taking a short break from everything can help you find your own pace again, your heart beating, just you and your own thoughts. When we connect with each other again, gratitude finds a place again. Buddhism supports direct experience, not experience that has been filtered through cameras or chosen by captions, just a real, honest person. How does this feel right now? How does your breath feel right now? Do you feel the ground under your feet? These questions don't help you learn anything. They make you feel present. Being present makes you grateful, not because everything is perfect, but because it is. Take back your attention. It's one of the best things you can do for your inner peace, to stop being so willing to give it away, to understand that focusing is more than just a skill. It's your life power, and every moment you get back from being distracted can be filled with gratitude, awe, and wonder. So stop the next time you want to check something. Question: what do I really want? Most of the time, relationship is the answer. That is, proof. But the truth is that what you're looking for has always been here, under your breath, in your mind, in the silence of you. You don't just find peace when you think about that. You find a thanks that doesn't depend on updates, likes, or replies. It comes from further down, from really being here all the time. So tonight, as you start to rest, give yourself the chance to disconnect. Not other people, but from being distracted. Make your breath more interesting than the next page. Let the weight of your body on the bed feel more stable than any news story. Bring yourself back to the present moment with the silence between these words. That's where your thanks lives. It was ready for you the whole time. When you stop being pulled towards screens all the time and remember how powerful it is to pay attention, something starts to settle down. The noise goes away. The sense of urgency fades. Something new starts to grow in its place. An awareness that doesn't want more, but starts to ask, what if this is already enough? It's possible that the problem wasn't that life wasn't full, but that we were too busy to notice how full it was. And in Buddhism, it's not just smart to notice what's already there, working and beautiful. That's freedom. Enough is not a spot. That's how it feels. A clear state of mind that isn't affected by how much money you have, what you've accomplished, or how much praise you get. Being aware in silence that seeking more was never the way to peace. In a strange way, that peace was always there under all the things you thought you needed. The Buddhist path doesn't say that success or desire are bad, but it does say that craving is bad because it makes you think that happiness is always just one step away. To be content is not to be lazy, it's not getting better. It's the brave act of stopping, looking around and saying, right now there is enough. It's realizing that more things, titles and power don't always mean more freedom. They often mean more attachment, stress and confusion, and that makes it hard to feel grateful when your mind is confused. This urge was known to the Buddha as tanha, which means a thirst that never ends. It gets bigger as you feed it. You keep going after new things and tell yourself it's normal. But somewhere inside, a voice whispers, this isn't it either. When you finally reach your goal, you don't feel peaceful. Instead, you feel empty inside. Buddhism doesn't tell you to give up what you want. Where are they leading me? It asks you to think about your wants. When wanting goes away, gratitude grows, not because you don't have anything, but because you know what you do have. Your breath, always there and true. A mind that can think about things and make changes. A heart that is still open after everything it's been through. There was a morning that was free, a friend who still hears you. Plenty is not a way to measure enough. In terms of knowledge, it's measured. Monks don't have many things because of a reason. Not turning down ease is not the point. It's about not having too much to live. It's easy to find joy when you train your mind to see enough in the little things. A simple plate of food turns into a blessing. A peaceful walk turns into a party. You start to understand that you don't lack experience. You've just been ignoring the importance of the things you already have. Dissatisfaction is a big part of modern society. You are told over and over to upgrade, expand, hustle, and get better. It says over and over, who you are is not enough. You don't have enough. It's not enough to be where you are. And when you really believe that, even success starts to feel empty. It doesn't even feel pretty. But Buddhism shows the opposite. You don't have to work to be enough. You just have to remember it. You start living your life when you stop trying to escape it. You don't swallow your food, you taste it. When you look into someone's eyes, you see their soul, not what they can do for you. You can sit down without feeling bad. It's not romantic to feel the sheets on your skin when you wake up and think, What a gift it is just to be here. That's being present. And being present is what makes thanks last that long. When you crave something, your mind is always looking for what it's missing. But a mind that has learned to be happy looks for what is already here. There is a kind of quiet magic here once you stop ignoring it. Being perfect isn't necessary to be at peace. To feel whole, you don't need the most. You don't have to keep getting better to feel good about yourself. It's not laziness to say, enough. It's moral clarity. In Buddhism, there is a word called santutti that means happiness from having enough. People think of it as one of the most important inner riches, because you don't need the world to constantly support you when you feel good enough. Don't compare things. You need to slow down. That's where your real life starts to play out. Not the one you were sold, but the one that was always there, waiting. You begin to be thankful for things that other people miss. The way the afternoon light hits the wall, the way your hands still work, the sound a bird makes when it's quiet. These aren't very exciting events. They are real, though. These things are more than enough when your heart is full. They become holy. Desire tells you that happiness is coming soon. It says that happiness is in this one. It means you're not quite there yet. Happiness tells you that you already are. Being thankful when you're happy doesn't make a noise. You don't have to yell it. It's clear when you eat slowly, how you answer with softness, the way you stroll along slowly, the way you don't need to show your worth anymore. Still, it's hard to choose enough, because it means giving up the race. It means letting down the parts of your mind that want more praise, status, and approval. Accepting that this form of life, with all of its flaws, mess, and mistakes, is not missing anything important, is what it means. That takes guts. It takes being there. It brings peace, though. Monks say prayers of thanks for small things, like a robe, food, and a place to rest. Not as a way to stay poor, but as a way to wake up, because your mind starts to see clearly when you train it to see enough. You can't get joy from adding more good things. It comes from choosing to treat the everyday as extraordinary when you see it. No longer do you need the right meal to enjoy food. You can feel love, even if your relationship isn't perfect. You don't need a new life to be thankful for the one you have now. You start to learn that being enough is not a weakness, but a sign of spiritual maturity at a deep level. A sign that you no longer want to deal with the world and are now respecting it. That's where being thankful is easy. Not an answer to why things are going well, but a way of being with what is. Your heart says thank you when it feels the sun on your skin, hears someone laugh, or drinks water and feels it cool your throat. It's not because you got more, but because you didn't need anything else that day. Cutting things out isn't what the practice of enough is about. It's about cutting through fantasy. It's being able to see that the next buy, compliment, or achievement won't bring what you thought it would. It might be fun, but it won't make you whole, because you were never lacking in anything to begin with. Being thankful helps you keep that in mind. You start to give more when you feel like you've given enough. Not because you have too much, but because you don't fear not having enough. You're more willing to share. You pay more attention. You are kind without expecting to be praised for it. That's the trick. Being happy doesn't make you stay the same. It makes you generous, because you start to live your life when you stop holding on to it. You start to understand that being enough makes other people feel safe, that the fact that you are grounded lets other people stop acting, that being still has more power than any dreams you ever had. That's the quiet revolution of thanks that comes from having enough. It doesn't shout or take over. It just sends out peace. You don't need to reach for anything else tonight as your body relaxes and your breath slows down. You can be thankful even if you haven't fixed anything. You are free to take it easy whenever you want. Now is enough. Enough of this quiet. It's enough that this life is beautiful and broken at the same time. You too. Something rare starts to show up when the search for more finally stops and the heart rests in the simple joy of enough. A silence that had been there the whole time, not being bored, not being alone, but there was quiet. There is a new kind of space in the silence. There is space that doesn't need to be filled, it just needs to be seen. Because there is a kind of thanks that comes from inside you, not from what is around you. And Buddhism doesn't ask us to go there as a punishment, but as a way to get there, a way to turn being alone into a safe place to be and turn it into a joy instead of a burden. In a world where being alone is always seen as a bad thing, this may sound strange. But Buddhist beliefs say that you should not try to avoid being alone. Instead, you should make friends with it. Not being alone or being sent away, but being in the holy company of your own being. Without noise and other things to do, that's where the most forgotten kind of thanks can finally start to grow. The kind that doesn't depend on other people or events, but on the quiet that shows what's been there all along. It's not empty to be alone. It's room. Space to be alone with your thoughts. A place to be still and feel your own breath. A place to find out more about yourself when no one is looking. Something starts to change in that honest place. The pain starts to get better. The mind gets softer. A quiet truth starts to speak. You are already whole without having to do anything. Buddhist monks often sit quietly for long amounts of time. They don't do this to escape from life, but to become deeply involved with it. They move slowly. They eat with awareness. Every hour, they sit alone with their thoughts, not to get away from the world, but to better understand it. They're not running away from anyone. They are going back to the person who is behind all the jobs and labels, and that return makes things clear, not in big insights, but in small understandings. Thank you for being, for air to flow, for the sake of understanding. Being alone makes you value your own company. It shows how much time and effort was put into controlling other people's thoughts, feelings, and hopes. It takes you back to a better time. How the ground feels under your feet. The sun's warmth on your skin. No one else is in the room when you laugh out loud. These things are not small, they are very important, and you don't have to force thanks when you see them. It comes up on its own. Today, being alone is seen as a problem that needs to be fixed. You're told to fill the empty space with things that will interest you, the quiet with noise, and the stillness with swiping. But if you avoid being alone all the time, you'll never know who you are when you're not surrounded by other people. You miss the chance to understand your own truth. Another thing you miss is the chance to learn that just being there is enough. The Buddha himself woke up not in a crowd, but by himself, under a tree. He wasn't running away from the world. He was just facing it straight on, without any distractions. That's what being alone lets you do. An honest look at your heart, your thoughts, and your habits. Being honest can feel awkward at first, but it turns into a source of strength over time. No more noise to make you feel real. You no longer need other people to feel important. You start to understand the difference between being alone and being lonely. Being alone makes gratitude more subtle. It's the thank you say when you wake up and have nothing to give anyone. It's the deep breath out you do when you're not showing off or acting. What a strange and peaceful joy it is to hear your own thoughts and not want them to be different. It's a kind of inner space that doesn't depend on approval from other people. A lot of Buddhist teachers say that the best friend you'll ever have is your own mind. If that friendship is ignored, hanging out with other people won't make you feel better. But when you work on it, when you start to be kind and interested in yourself the same way you are with other people, solitude stops being a punishment. In the end, it becomes food. One of the best things about being alone is that it makes time go more slowly. When you don't have to worry about conversations, performances, or plans all the time, you start to notice the passing of time more deeply. Birds are singing. You can hear the wind. You remember things you forgot you had forgotten. The world doesn't move quickly. It happens slowly and softly. You become more aware when you slow down, and being present is what makes a normal situation something to be thankful for. As part of Buddhist meditation, there is a time called noble silence, during which practitioners do not speak to others or to themselves. The mind has less to do. The heart became more in tune. In that quiet, a lot of people start to feel thankful for things they didn't expect, like things that were always there, but they never noticed. How heavy your hand is, how hot or cold the air is, the steady beat of breathing. These are not signs that you are empty. They show that there is life. When you have a clear picture of life, the only honest thing to do is to be thankful. Being alone also shows you how you've been running, not from other people, but from yourself, from unresolved memories, feelings, and facts that haven't been dealt with. But when you're by yourself, those parts of you can breathe. They don't come forward to crowd you. They want to be seen. And when they are, something gets softer. The walls fall down. The lying is over. And thankfulness comes out, not for the pain, but for being able to feel again. As time goes on, silence is less about being alone and more about being whole. You start to understand that the empty space you were afraid of wasn't a hole, but a place that needs to be filled with care, understanding, and kindness. You can be happy without anyone else around. That idea doesn't need noise. That peace doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being there. You start to see other people differently too. You don't need other people to make you whole after spending time alone. You show them more honesty, kindness, and freedom when you meet them. They are welcome in your quiet. You don't need them to fill it. They get better not because you talk more, but because you listen more. You started to listen when you finally paid attention to yourself. Being alone teaches you how to hold your own hand, to make your own heart feel better, to give yourself a boost when no one is around. And when you respect yourself, gratitude becomes a quiet friend. Thank you for being strong enough to get here. Thank you for the peace that is holding you now. Thanks for having the guts to be with yourself, even though it would have been easier to run away. You start to realize that getting better doesn't always happen in large groups. They happen early in the morning, when everyone else is still asleep, and you're drinking your tea alone. They happen when you go for a walk without your phone and realize that the trees have been trying to talk to you the whole time. They happen when you cry by yourself, not because you're broken, but because you let go of everything. That's the good thing about being alone. It's not flashy. You can't write about it. It's true, though. It changes you. So, if you're by yourself tonight, make the most of it. Let the quiet be a way in. Make the area around you look like a mirror. You don't need anything else. You are coming back to take a breath, to be present, to the calm strength that has been waiting for you the whole time. And that's a lot to be thankful for. Being alone shows you how full your presence is. The silence takes away the noise, the hurry, and the need to react all the time. It teaches you to hear again, to feel again, to honor the small gifts that come with just being living. But there is one place where that presence can mean even more: when you eat. Eating is a regular habit that most people rush through or ignore, but it has the power to bring you back to life. Because there's a story behind every bite, a history, a chain of life that went through fields, hands, air, and time to get to your plate. And when you look at it straight on, eating is more than just fuel. It turns into a prayer of thanksgiving. Mindfulness can be practiced while eating, but many people forget to do it. These days, people do it with a screen in front of them or a list of things they need to do in their heads. It stops working on its own. Take a bite, swallow, and go. But Buddhists believe that food is holy. The way food is served is more important than what is eaten. It gives you a chance to stop, to feel, to go back to the body. Last but not least, to understand how all of these meals are connected. To eat mindfully, you must first stop. To really see the food in front of you and know that it didn't just appear. It was grown by someone. It was picked by someone. It was packed by someone. It was moved by someone. It was made by someone. Many lives, both seen and unknown, have led to what you are holding now. Being aware of that changes the experience. The meal stops being just another thing you do. It serves as a warning of how closely all things are linked. Buddhist monks think about things before they eat, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it makes you feel grateful. They ask, "Am I good enough to eat this? Have I made a contribution today? Will I eat with care instead of greed?" Shame isn't the point of this reflection. It's about being aware. It tells the person eating to take their time, respect the food, and be present with it instead of mindlessly consuming it. Something changes when you take your first bite without being aware of it. The taste gets stronger. It gets easier to see the color. It gets better as time goes on. And the food didn't change to make it more flavorful. You did, not just for the taste, but for everything that had to happen so you could taste it. Love grows. The ground, the sun, it rained, the work, the time. That bite ties it all together. Mindful eating doesn't just mean eating fancy meals to show gratitude. In fact, the most basic things often show us the most. A bowl of hot rice, a piece of bread, a piece of fruit. When you savor them slowly and fully, they tell you that life is always feeding you, not just with food, but also with connection. That each bite is a link in the web of life. That's not what this is about. There's no need to make every meal a big deal. But one bite taken in quiet and with someone else there can change you. You might not be able to do it without it, It might change the way you feel about food. It can tell you that this simple, everyday thing you do is a way to receive. And when you really receive, thanks comes up on its own. Mindful eating teaches you to be moderate as well. You can better understand what your body is telling you when you eat slowly. When you're full, you stop. With less, you can enjoy more. It gets less important to eat or drink out of boredom, feeling, or habit. You don't eat just to get full anymore. It's a way to honor the life that gives you food. Buddhists have changed one of the most important things they do. They turn consumption into an act of respect. When you feel encouraged, you're more grateful. And what is food if not something to hold you up? Not just physically, but also mentally, socially, and in relationships. Food brings people together. It tells tales. It brings back memories. But all of that is lost when you're in a hurry. The taste goes away. The message goes away. You feel full in the stomach, but empty in the heart. Being aware of it is what brings it back. Being present while you eat also helps you face your habits with kindness. You start to notice what you grab for when you're stressed, what you stay away from when you feel bad about yourself, what you want when you're by yourself. You don't judge these trends. Instead, you learn from them. They move more slowly. You are nice to them when you meet them. The goal is not to rule, but to understand. Transformation is possible when you understand, and change makes it possible to be more grateful. Being mindful starts even earlier when you make your own food. Washing the veggies turns into a way to relax. When you slice with care, it's like an act of love. Slow cooking turns into a service routine. You start to show your gratitude for the food by giving it your full attention. You are careful with every step. That energy goes into the things you make. The food is a gift to everyone who eats with you, not just yourself. People often eat together in silence in Buddhist buildings. There is only the sound of spoons, chewing, and breath. There is no talking or enjoyment. It might feel weird at first. Then something starts to make sense. The silence makes things easier. The feelings get stronger. The bond gets stronger. You understand that you don't have to say thank you to truly feel it. It can whisper from the mouth to the heart to the mind. You also get a better sense of what it means for things to change. Soon, the food that is feeding you will be gone. You'll feel less full over time. The time will go by, but instead of being sad about that, you value it more. Enjoy the taste while you still can. You thank it while it's there. And you let go without holding on tight. You learn to fully live in each moment, even as it fades away. That's the beauty of thoughtful eating. This knowledge stays with you through life. You start to treat other habits with more respect. Getting your hands clean, making tea, giving your child food. You no longer think of these things as jobs. They start to look like signs of thanks to you, and this change makes peace. Not because things got easier, but because they were felt more. Food can be a mirror if you eat it with awareness. It shows how you feel. It shows what habits you have. It shows how fast you're going. But it also shows how good you could be. The chance that you'll slow down, to pay attention, to say thanks. You do not need to wait for a vacation or a unique dish. Every meal can be a place to go back to, a place to breathe when you get home, to your body, to all the good things that people eat too quickly. It doesn't take much to practice, just being there. Take one deep breath before you eat. Just one moment of silence before you go after more. That's all it takes. Being grateful doesn't make you more grateful. It gets more attention. Freely giving that kind of care makes even the most basic meal feel holy. So take a moment to think the next time you eat. Feel how heavy the bowl is, how warm the steam was, the smell, the look, and the feel. Then take a slow bite. Fully taste. Take a full swallow. Feel the food getting into your body. Let your heart tell you in a quiet voice, this is enough. This is a present. I'm thankful. Because being grateful isn't about what you have, but about how much you appreciate what you already have. Once you remember how precious each bite of food is and learn to slow down long enough to appreciate the simple act of eating, it gets easier to feel something else. A stronger thread, a quiet understanding that many lives were touched by every meal, every ingredient, and every step in the ritual of eating. We won't meet most of them. At that point, being thankful starts to include more than just what's in front of you. It starts to include everyone and everything behind it as well. Being thankful spreads. In Buddhism, this growth leads to one of the most important ideas. We are all connected. Being aware that no one really lives alone and that nothing is done by themselves. When you're grateful for more than just your own gifts, it changes you. To touch the hands that have made your life possible, but you can't see them. The people, you will never know their names. The people from other places who grew your food, paved your roads, brought your packages, built your house, kept the power on, and swept the streets. These people are not just there to help with your story. They are what it's made of. Buddhism also says that seeing this truth deeply makes the ego weaker and the heart bigger. Buddhists call this understanding paticca samuppada. It means realizing that everything comes about because of everything else. Nothing exists on its own. Sunlight, earth, water, wind, and time are all things that trees need. People need language, society, a place to live and care. Your events shape even your thoughts, even though you didn't choose them. The alphabet wasn't made by you. The internet wasn't made by you. It's not your chair that you're sitting on. There are thousands of forces behind you right now, some seen, most not seen. This isn't meant to be too much. It's meant to make you feel more thankful. When you walk down the street, you may pass people and bow to them without giving them a second thought. One that cares about both the doctor and the cleaner. That person knows how important each link is and how everything changes when even one link is lost. If you train your mind to be separate, you think, I did this myself. But if you train your mind to be interdependent, you think, I walk on the efforts of others. And when you look at things that way, even the most ordinary things start to shine with gratitude. That tea. A lot of people work together to make it possible. The farmer, the mill worker, the truck driver, and the store owner. That's when gratitude stops being just a feeling and starts being a view, a new way to look at the world. Something changes in your spirit when you start to thank strangers in your heart. You stop seeing everyone in the world as an enemy or a rival. You start to feel held, helped, and linked. That link doesn't need to be talked about. You don't have to return it. You only need to feel it. And even traffic feels different when it is. People's rhythms can be seen even when they are waiting in line, not as a bother, but as something everyone goes through. Buddhism stresses kindness not as an idea, but as something that comes naturally when you understand how interconnected everything is. When you know that other people's well-being affects your own, it makes sense to wish them well, even if they don't know, even if they don't thank you. The point is not to be seen as good. The point is to see that being good is a duty that everyone shares. Some Buddhist groups have a practice where people give the benefits of their meditation to all beings, not just family and friends, but all living things. This isn't a sign. It shows thanks in a direct way. This phrase means, because I benefit from the work and kindness of others, I give this moment of peace to the whole. This shows how broad Buddhist gratitude is. It's not just about the self. Moving outward, it keeps going. This doesn't mean ignoring wrongdoing. It doesn't mean acting like everything is fine all the time. What does it mean to hold both the pain and the beauty at the same time? What went wrong and what was tried? Being thankful in this situation is not foolish. It has clear eyes. It knows how things work. It sees people who aren't always seen. And it doesn't forget about them. It includes them. It tells them thanks. Yes, quietly, but honestly. Arrogance goes away when people count on each other. The thought that some people should get more than others, that your success is all your own fault, that you are not like the people who don't seem to have much. In Buddhism, this false sense of being separate is known as avidya, which means blindness, and practicing seeing connections is what gets rid of it. Your heart will open up more when you finally see the truth. We rise and fall together, not because someone told you to. Being thankful for links you can't see also helps you heal. It makes being alone easier, because you are not alone, even when you are physically alone. The phone you use was made by someone. Someone sewn your blanket together. The animal you eat or the grain you eat was grown by someone. We hold you in a huge web so you're not broken off. And remembering that makes the pain of being apart start to go away. Being aware of this changes the way you move through the world. You keep doors open for a little longer. You look the cashier in the eyes. You give the cleaning worker a quiet nod. You start to say, "Thank you," not always out loud, but in front of them. The choices you make, in the way you walk. Gratitude takes a physical form. The great thing is that this kind of thankfulness is always there. It's not tied to good feelings or nice weather. The only way to know is to see. See the wholly complicated chain of events that makes every moment possible. Because once you see it, being thankful doesn't feel like a practice. It feels like an answer. It's only normal to feel this way when you live in a world where everything helps everything else. People who push you are also a part of this. The ones who make you swear, test your patience, and bring out your worst traits. They also affect how you grow. They show what still needs to be fixed. From a wise point of view, even that trouble can be met with a strange kind of thanks. Not because of the pain, but because it gives you the chance to answer clearly instead of emotionally. It's not sentimental to be thankful for links you can't see. It's very rough. It's clear. It tells you to wake up from the false idea that you are different and feel the flow of life through everything. Because of the hands that made your food, through the writers whose work made you think, through the hard work of farmers, builders, healers, and dreamers who made the world a better place for you to live. Having a child also gives you a sense of duty, but not a heavy kind. How can your life help other people if so many others have helped yours? Not with big acts of kindness, but with small, regular care. By being kind when you get there, by giving your own work, words, time, appearance, and energy. Then gratitude isn't just inside you, it's out there doing things. And amazing things start to happen when you start living this way. It's no longer about getting in life. It turns into giving, not because they have to, but because they know them. You give because you've been given. You offer because someone has helped you. You'll get more peace, more connections, and a calmer, more grounded joy in return for what you give. So as you sleep tonight, think of the hands that held you today, the people who made your day possible but didn't know your name. Thank them from the bottom of your heart. Let your thanks reach beyond the people you're close to. Let it reach out and touch the huge web of links that holds everything together. You stop seeing the world as a stranger when you realize how deeply everything is connected. You begin to walk like you belong. It is nearly impossible not to feel touched when the heart finally sees the web of unseen links that hold everything together. Something gets softer. There is a change. You start to notice and value people more, even if they have no idea how important they were in your life. As clear as things are, though, there is another truth. The people who had the most effect on our lives were sometimes the ones who hurt us the most. Which is why thanks is put to the test in this way, because it's not always easy to say thank you. There are times when things are too painful, too sharp, or too heavy to smile about. This is where Buddhism looks at the heart and asks one of its most important questions. What if forgiveness and thanks are not opposites, but allies? To forgive is not to forget. Approval is not it. There's no need to say that what happened was okay. It's about making the choice to stop carrying the weight. For Buddhists, forgiving someone is a sign of strength, not weakness. It means facing the hurt and saying, "You don't get to control me anymore." That's what frees the mind from the past and makes the present feel whole again. Once you taste that freedom, it makes room for something unexpected. Thanks. At first, it can be hard to see how thanks and forgiveness are connected. Why would you ever be grateful for someone who hurt you? Why should pain be met with anything but anger or silence? But this is where the lessons get more profound. In Buddhism, you shouldn't act like something didn't happen. It wants you to think about what happened for a while so that you can understand it. And when you understand that, the pain can be a teacher. Forgiving someone doesn't make you feel grateful all at once. You don't have to hurry. It doesn't mean turning sadness into happiness. It means realizing that the hurt got you somewhere. Setting limits was taught to you. You had to grow because of it. It showed you a strength you didn't know you had. It showed you where your healing is still going on. And when you look at interactions through that lens, even the worst ones start to change. It's not because the story changes, but because of how you feel about it. The mind, like the body, can be trained in Buddhism. And hanging on to anger is like putting a flame next to someone and expecting them to catch fire. People who are angry are the ones who suffer. When you forgive someone, you put out the fire, not to help the other person, but to keep your own peace. After the noise stops, there is more room. From there, being grateful can start all over again. It's not a single thing to forgive someone, it's something you do. A coming back, a slow, sometimes painful ending to the story you've been telling. And every time you let go, even a little, something lighter comes in, something that isn't made out of pain or defense. Then, being thankful for that freedom comes naturally. Not thankful for the pain itself, but thankful for the power that came from getting through it, for making things clear after the fall, because of how you got back up. Buddhist psychology talks a lot about dukkha, which means pain or dissatisfaction, as a normal part of life. It's carried by everyone. It's hurt everyone. Everyone has hurt other people. This truth that all people share is what makes kindness possible, as well as the reason why we need to forgive. Because if everyone is flawed and learning, then not forgiving others is also a way for us to hold ourselves back. When we build walls to keep other people out, they also stop us from being grateful. Being present means being grateful. And anger keeps us stuck in the past. You can get back to the present moment when you forgive. Stop going over the story over and over. You need to stop arguing with yourself in your head. You don't have to be right. After that, there is silence, and you start to notice things again. How the sun shines on the table, the way you still breathe, the way someone smiled at you today. That was all there before. It was so foggy from holding on that you couldn't feel it. When you forgive someone, you can also get back parts of yourself that were stuck in the past. The part of you that was shut up, the part that was locked down, the softness that people used to trust. Don't throw these things away. They are parts of you that are ready to be brought back. When you stop fighting with yourself, you become more grateful. When you stop categorizing your life into good and bad, right and wrong, strong and weak, it all starts to look like a part of the same trip. Buddhism says that everyone, even our enemies, can teach us something. They show us what we still hold on to, not because they were right. Being understood, being treated properly, and being seen in a certain way are some of the things that they show us. There is pain when these bonds are tested. Thought does too, which means you have a choice. The choice to stay in the loop or break out of it. You can step out when you forgive. Being thankful is what you find when you do. In loving kindness meditation, people often say, "May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering." That means you too, such as the people who hurt you. Those parts of you that are still healing are part of that. It's not okay to act like nothing happened when you forgive someone. It means not letting pain define who you are. And being thankful makes that rejection feel rooted, not just in idea, but in reality. Sometimes you have to forgive yourself first before you can forgive others. What you did wrong, the points you skipped, the times you broke your own rules. These stories have the most weight. Buddhism, on the other hand, says that blaming yourself is just another way of being attached. You've done better things than you are. What you've done wrong doesn't hold you back. You should thank yourself for making it through, trying again, and not letting up as soon as you start to forgive yourself. Being grateful for yourself is a strong step. That's what changes guilt into duty. It's what changes shame into growth. That's what turns the past into a teacher instead of a burden. Don't forget what took place. You don't have to love every part of yourself. You just need to stop using past pain as proof that you don't deserve happiness. Forgiving someone and showing gratitude isn't a big deal. It's not noisy. You can tell by how softly you talk to yourself. In what ways do you stop thinking about getting even? In how you stop practicing your responses and start getting your energy back. This is the change from "they owe me" to "I free them." Not because they earn it, but because you do. You learn that letting go doesn't mean justice goes away. It only stops the blood loss. It makes room for new life to grow. And in that new life, being grateful comes back, not as a show, but as a way of life. You start to say thanks for letting you feel again. Thank you for being strong enough to get through it. Thanks to those who stayed. Because of your change, you no longer have to hold on to hate in order to move forward. So, if you still feel heavy tonight, this might be the time to start over, to take one deep breath and let go of one thought. There's nothing you need to fix. You don't have to let everything go. You just need to be ready to give in, not to turn away from peace, because when you do, you feel so grateful, not for what took place, but for what you can turn into now. That's enough, more than enough, all the time. It's never easy to let go. When you forgive someone, though, there is a rare kind of silence that feels like fresh air after a long storm. Something soft starts to rise in that spot, something you can do without being asked or given permission. Even when everything else fell apart, there was always something steady and quiet. Breathe in, the thing that never changed, the friend who was with you the whole time, but you didn't know it. This is where Buddhists believe thanks starts to settle in the body as well as the heart. By breathing, by being there. One breath at a time, by just being living. The only thing that ties all of your life together is your breath. It's the first thing you did when you came into this world and the last thing you do before you leave. It doesn't ask for anything, but gives everything. And no one notices it most of the time. The breath is not a background process in Buddhist meditation, though. It is the center, the way to get clear. Life is not in the past or the future, it's here. She is your teacher. Now is the time. It is also breathing. It's not necessary to be loud or poetic to be thankful for life. You can feel it when you stop for a while, to pay close attention to how air comes into and leaves your body, how it makes the belly bigger, the chest softer, and the feet more stable. You start to think of your breath as more than just a way to breathe. It turns into a relationship, a beat, a prayer of being present that doesn't need words. There is no need to control or change the breath. It's about being there to see it, letting things stay the way they are, not deep or shallow, how fast or how slow, heavy or not. The breath isn't meant to get your attention. It's here to help you get through anything, not because of what you get, but because of what you finally notice. That's when thanks comes from. Breath is often called the link between the body and the mind in old Buddhist texts. You can always get it. Noise or bad luck can't take it away from you. Still, it's often ignored because it's always there. The irony is that what keeps you going is the thing you forget the most quickly. Your whole world slows down when you go back to it and really feel it. The past doesn't seem as clear. The future is not as important. Present is all that's left. Not pushed, not fake, but true, possible, still alive. Taking these kinds of breaths is not something special that you should do. It's taking place already. You're only paying attention now. Everything changes because of that attention. It changes the way you listen, how you walk, how you talk, how you sleep, because you stop living in response when life becomes your friend. You get into a rhythm. Being aware of your breathing, or anapanasati, was one of the most important things the Buddha taught. He did this not because it was cool or exciting, but because it was good for everyone. Everybody takes a breath. It hurts everyone. No one remembers. And taking deep breaths is what brings you back. Over and over. It doesn't matter what you did in the past. What you think doesn't matter. The breath makes everyone feel welcome. When you see that, you don't have to make yourself grateful. It becomes how you normally are. A small change takes place when you pay more attention to your breathing. You can start to tell that it is smart. How it changes when you're stressed. The way it gets stronger when you rest. When fear comes up, it shortens, and when you choose to return, it holds you down. The breath turns into a mirror. It shows how you feel. This tells you where your hold is. Then it gives you a way to soften over and over. When you feel encouraged, you're more grateful. And your breath is the only thing that supports you all the time. It doesn't ask for your attention, but when you give it, it gives you its whole self. That's the start of trusting the moment itself, not ideas, people, or results. That you are able to be here, to feel, to react by being present instead of freaking out. Aware of your breath also teaches you to be patient, because you're not pushing or following when you watch your breath. You're just being, and that's where healing takes place. Not by trying to fix everything, but by getting used to the way things are, to take a breath with it. You start to be thankful not only for the calm, but also for being able to stay through the storm. When your mind is rushing, your heart is heavy, and everything seems too much, your breath is the way back. You don't need to solve everything. You don't need to run away. You only take one breath in again. One gasp, then another one. Fear's hold on me slowly weakens. The fog starts to clear. This soft thing has taken its place, something more stable. The calm happiness of still being here. Coming together with your breath in this way makes you feel holy. As a friend, not as a tool. It starts to show how it makes you feel. What it does in times of happiness, pain, and tiredness. It turns into a language your body says when words don't work. And the better you listen, the more linked you feel to everything around you and to yourself. This knowledge also makes kindness stronger. You start to understand that everyone breathes, everyone you walk by, everyone you rate. All the people who have ever hurt you or helped you are still alive, needing help, hopeful, trying, giving up, starting over. That breath becomes a thread that ties all living things together, and empathy comes from that. Not because of hard work, but because of praise. When you breathe with thanks, you can also enjoy the times when you felt empty. We're stuck at a red light, getting in line, being awake at night. These become chances to come back, to join again, to feel alive without having to fix anything or show anything. It's just breathing, becoming, and peace starts to grow in that simplicity. This exercise changes the way you experience life over time. You start to answer instead of just reacting. You take longer breaks. You pay more attention. You pay more attention when you talk. And when things go wrong, which they always do, you're not thrown off as much. You take a deep breath, up to now, to what's real below the noise. And the gratitude doesn't go away quickly. It doesn't depend on how you feel or what happens. It stays the same. Grown. It's not about getting what you want. It's about being yourself. A person who can take life one moment at a time and breathe, feel, and act. That's the main point of the show. That's the present. So make this your only goal tonight. Not to make any changes, not to get anything done. To breathe only, to pay attention to your breathing, to just breathe. Follow it back. Let it make you think less hard. Let it open up the day. As you breathe in and out, remember that you are still here. You are still alive. That's something to be very thankful for on its own. Breath is the truth that stays with you. It calms the mind, holds the body, and slowly brings the mind back to the present moment. And when it's really seen, not just as a job, but also as a gift, something strong and deep starts to grow. A different way to value life. A steady feeling of gratitude for things that have always been free. There is something else, though, that often gets in the way of being thankful. A wall that grows invisibly in the background of modern life. Being spoiled. The thought that more is owed, whether it is spoken or not. You should be sure of that safety. That life is failing if it doesn't go the way they want it to. In Buddhist thought, this is more than just a way of thinking. It's a kind of pain. And more success or approval isn't the answer. It's thanksgiving. People who feel entitled think that the world should work for them. That the pain of having to wait, the annoyance of having limits, and the lack of ease are all unfair. It changes gifts into hopes. It turns support into standards that are taken for granted. It stops being appreciated after that point. It's not that the world has stopped giving, but that the mind has stopped seeing it. Buddhists don't get angry when people feel entitled. Instead, they deal with it with clarity. It shows that this grasping, this expectation, this silent demand that life be shaped around one's own wants is a constant source of anger. It also shows that being thankful isn't just a way out. It's freedom. The way people live today teaches them to expect quick service, constant reinforcement, and a huge number of options. It provides ease of use that is first unnoticeable and then expected. But what starts out as growth slowly turns into assumption. You forget what a gift clean water is. That electricity is a gift that you can't see. That not being able to read, walk, talk, or make a choice was not a given. Life starts to feel empty when those things are no longer seen. Life didn't really change, though. It's how you see it. Gratitude changes how you see things. It makes you think more slowly, to look once more, to stop thinking of what is free as what is due, because no one really owes anyone anything, not air, not comfort, not help. And yet, these things are real. They are there for us, even on the worst days, to keep us going. When you stop feeling that way, your sense of privilege starts to fade. Genuine praise is a better place for it to live. In Buddhism, practicing mindfulness simply makes people feel less entitled, because the gifts of this moment become more clear the more present you are. the wind that feels good on your skin, the light that spreads out in the room. After everything it's been through, the body that still works. Don't ask why things aren't better anymore. It starts to amaze you that they work at all, that everything works, that this moment is still happening, even though you have flaws and problems, and that's enough. When you feel entitled, your mind is always comparing things. It's always checking to see what other people have and what's missing. On the other hand, gratitude comes from real-life experiences. It does not care about what other people own. It feels full now that it knows what's already there. And pain starts to go away when the mind shifts from comparing to connecting. Buddhism says that holding on hurts and that letting go is better. Entitlement is a subtle form of holding on to imagined futures, to certain results, and the idea that things have to be a certain way for life to be good. But a different spirit comes up when that holding on is let go of, and the heart bows to reality as it is. Not lose, not giving up. That is deep respect. Honor this body, this life, this day, and this chance to start over. People also lose touch with each other when they feel entitled. It thinks that other people can meet your needs. Their work, time, and effort should be based on what's best for you. But thanks brings people back together. It sees work. It shows appreciation for work. It lets you know that someone is helping to keep your world together. It was the delivery guy, the person who works in the business. It was translated, the person who codes, the teacher. Gratitude breaks down barriers of rank. It takes the place of demand with humility. Buddhist monks depend on the kindness of others to live their spiritual lives. They don't buy food or cook it for themselves. They walk along quietly with their bowls in hand, taking what is given to them, as a gift, not as a right. This action has nothing to do with being poor. It's about how you see things. It is about learning to accept what you get with gratitude and to let go of the idea that you are in charge. Every meal teaches you how to be humble. Every bite is a warning that life is uncertain and everything is linked. That way of life may seem very different from today, but its spirit is close. It asks, what would happen if every job, speech, and meal wasn't seen as something that had to be done, but as a chance to give and receive with awareness? Not through rituals, but through care, how much of everyday life could become holy again. When you really feel grateful, it's like praying, not to a god, but to the very idea of being. Being entitled makes the heart weak. It limits the choices of what is okay and fulfilling. Gratitude makes it bigger. It makes lines softer. It lets joy come in through doors you wouldn't expect. Something cold to drink when it's hot outside. A brief pause. A nice look from someone you don't know. These don't need to be perfect. They only need to be noticed. The world starts to grow when we notice things all the time. Having a sense of privilege also has a mental cost. It makes you anxious. The fear that you won't get what you deserve all the time. Looking for signs of unfairness or being missed over and over again. But being thankful calms that fear. It does not say that unfairness does not exist. It just does not let it define everything. It makes you feel whole even when things aren't great. Being full is what brings peace to the inside. It's not about shame to reverse entitlement. It's about being aware. When you see that the mind makes the line between enough and not enough, you can break free, and that how you live changes when you change the way you see things. You don't have to feel bad about wanting more if you follow Buddhism. It only wants you to look very closely, to ask, does this want come from happiness or fear? Is this assumption making me nicer or meaner? That being said, does it keep me from seeing what's already here? Being grateful also makes you want to take part. Being spoiled is waiting to be served. Being thankful asks, how can I help? It changes from I need more to I can give more. That change affects your relationships, work, rest, and even how you see your own life. Since you no longer expect life to give you something, you start giving your life back to other people. Being silent is not what this means. Gratitude doesn't mean you can't have goals, it only cleans it. You don't have to win in order to strive. There's no need to compare in order to grow. It's possible to want things to be better without being against what they are. That's the great thing about Buddhist gratitude. It includes doing things but leaves out anger. Over time, not feeling entitled to anything brings a joy that can't be faked. A calm happiness that doesn't depend on praise, growth, or proof. There's joy in the little things, in the sound of your own breathing, in the way water feels on your hands, in the fact that you had a fresh start when you woke up today. That's not little, that's it. And you can get it now, not until you've done more, not until you get what you want. Right now, this breath, this body, this life. So, as you rest tonight, take some time to think. Have you been expecting something and not noticing it? Have you started to treat quiet gifts like background noise? Let your mind bow, but not out of shame. Do it out of awareness. It should go back to what's already here. Let gratitude grow from that return, not as a feeling, but as a way of seeing. The way to walk. A way of life that says over and over, this is not owed, but it is given. That's more than enough. Life starts to feel less like a deal and more like a gift when the weight of expectation starts to fall away and thanks takes its place. The heart beats faster. The mind was not as busy. Even though I now appreciate things more, there's still another voice that often stays in the background, one that worries, that plays over and over the what-ifs, and that shakes when I think about the unknown. Stress. It fears the unknown, holds on tight to power, and feeds on the idea that danger is always close by. But there is a quiet but strong counterforce in the lessons of Buddhism. Not fighting back, not shutting down. Thank you. The future is full of anxiety. It gets bigger between now and the next thing that could happen. It makes up situations and stories to make people think that the only way to be safe is to be able to guess everything. But thankfulness lives in other places. It's here, in this moment, right now. We are gently brought back from the imagined danger to what is real, what is happening right now, and what can't be denied. And worry starts to leave when the mind starts to ground itself in the present. Fear is not denied by Buddhist practice. It doesn't put it down or try to erase it. You can worry, that's just part of being human. It also teaches us that we shouldn't believe every thought, that fear doesn't have to be a jail all the time. The nervous system is reminded that not everything is bad when it feels grateful. that even when things are hard, there are still stable things that work and are worth being thankful for. Fear makes it harder to pay attention. It focuses on the worst thing that could happen. It makes the body tense, shortens the breath, and fills the mind with what-ifs. But when thanks comes in, it makes you pay attention again. It makes the frame bigger. It slowly shifts your attention to what is helping you, even though you are feeling uneasy right now. The chair below you, the steady flow of breath, the body that is still carrying you even though it is stressed. You start to see that the worry isn't the only thing going on. It's not the whole truth. Being thankful is like having a rock. It doesn't go away with the storm. It just keeps you from being swept away by it. In Buddhist meditation, when fear comes up, you are told not to fight it, but to stay with it, breathe with it, and pay attention to what else is here. That's where being thankful lives. In the little gaps around fear, in the small things you forgot about while your mind was racing toward disaster. How your feet feel on the ground, the sound of birds outside. Being alive means that you can still think, breathe, and make decisions. Being grateful doesn't mean that the fear has to go away. It only wants you to see things in a bigger picture. This will feel more normal as you do it more often. The mind starts to change because modern life has taught us to always be afraid of danger. It starts to notice what is already going well instead of looking for what could go wrong. This kind of optimism is not harmful. This is being aware, being honest about seeing the whole picture. There may still be fear, but now there is also the morning. That goes for how soft your blanket is too. The peace and quiet that helps you think is also important. These are not bothersome things. These things are also true. And being thankful helps you keep it all in. One of the most important ideas in Buddhist psychology is that trying to control other people makes them suffer. And worry is the mind holding on tight to the false idea that being in charge is the only way to feel safe. Being thankful lets go of that hold. It changes the nerve system from fight or flight to rest and receive. It helps the body remember what peace feels like, not when everything is awesome, but when nothing is going wrong. The way you talk to yourself changes when you're grateful. Anxiety often makes people mean, with blame, with the voice inside your head that says, "You should have known." Not yet. Something bad is going to happen, but the tone changes when thanks comes in. It lessens its force, more sincere. Yes, this is hard, but look how far you've come. You don't know what's next, but you're still here. Gratitude is the inner witness that takes the place of the inner judge. A person who can see without judging. One whose truth soothes fear. Gratitude changes the chemistry of worry, even in the body. Studies have shown that being grateful lowers the stress hormone cortisol, slows the heart rate, and makes the brain better at focusing and controlling emotions. In Buddhism, these changes aren't just side effects. They mean the mind is getting back in balance, to the middle path, to a point where the nervous system doesn't have to get ready for made-up danger and can finally rest in what's real. Anxiety makes people feel alone. It makes you feel like you're all by yourself, like no one gets you, and like the world is against you and doesn't care. But being thankful helps you remember that you can always connect with others, that other people have helped you before. In big and small ways, that kindness changed your life. That the world is full of care, even though it is unclear. As soon as you write down even 3 things you're thankful for, you stop feeling alone and start feeling like you belong. Fear can be stopped by including everyone. Being thankful also grounds the body. It floats to the future when the mind is stressed. But when you thank your body for things like breathing, working, and walking, you get back into shape. Stop being a thought that floats around. You turn back into a person, a fully centered, breathing, and sensing being who is ready to face this moment with clarity. When Buddhists practice loving kindness, they often say words of care when they feel scared. Please keep me safe. I hope all is well. These words don't mean, may I be at peace. They serve as reminders. Reminds you that being scared doesn't mean you can't be calm. You can still feel stable even though you're anxious. In times of trouble, being thankful can be the only thing that keeps you calm. You understand that being thankful is not something you should do when things are going well. In times when life seems unclear, it's something to turn to. It turns into a tool that helps you stop before you freak out. That makes you think about the story that says, everything is falling apart. It makes you bravely return to this moment. Being thankful also helps you see things in a bigger picture. It makes you remember that you've been through hard times before, that you've made it through tough times. You were able to handle that worry, that somehow you made it, even though fear told you you wouldn't. And now you are. Taking a breath, being quiet, going up. That past is true. That strength is real. It's also a way to show thanks, just to remember it. This practice will eventually become a part of your nerve system. The mind is still not calm. It does remember now, though. It helps us remember that peace is possible. There are times when that fear comes and goes, that you can always take a breath. Being thankful doesn't get rid of worry, but it makes room for it. A place where peace can rest, where people can be kind again, where you can take a break, even if it's only for a short time. As the night goes on, let that room be enough. Let a thankful thought calm a nervous one. Let being present for one moment break the cycle of fear. You don't have to be brave. Just keep in mind that not everything is dangerous, that some things are still pretty, the breath you're still getting, that this is not danger right now, it's life. And there are still many good things in life, even when things look bad. That should keep you safe. That should give you peace. That should be the start of a new path. Take a deep breath at a time. When you start to feel grateful, your anxiety starts to calm down, your heart starts to soften, and something surprising starts to happen. Space for other people, for their stories, voices, and being there. Fear tends to make the mind smaller, but being thankful makes it bigger. And in that growth, a different kind of gift appears. The gift of listening with care. Buddhists don't just listen to learn things. They use it as a way to meditate, help others, and connect with others. And it is in that still, focused hearing that gratitude grows stronger. A lot of people aren't really heard. During talks, people are often cut off, judged, distracted, or left with a blank space where they can speak again. But something changes when someone listens with their whole being. Less defenses. Trust grows. The sound gets softer. The listener wakes up. Something unseen of thanks starts to grow between them. It's not because they solved a problem. It's just that one soul finally met another without any noise getting in the way. Being fully present means listening with your mind. Don't plan your answer, come to any conclusions, or do more than one thing at once in your thoughts. Just listening, paying attention to tone, body language, and the time between words. Not just reading the information, but also feeling the emotional current. It's not a passivity, it's being present. Right now, your words matter, it says. I'm not trying to change you, fix you, or talk smarter than you right now. I'm just here. This way of listening is seen as one of the deepest forms of kindness in Buddhist teachings. Because to really listen to someone without adding your own thoughts is to let them be who they are. You and the other person will easily feel grateful when you let them be who they are. You start to understand how rare and strong that presence really is by now. Being thankful for listening isn't always loud. It's there in the softness of a nod, in the stillness that makes room, in the way someone's face changes when they know they won't be distracted. Word by word, trust grows. It's powerful not when everyone agrees, but when everyone pays attention. This way of listening changes how people get along. It mends what distance has put a hole in. It shows parts of a person that were hidden under short chats and surface talk. It brings to light pasts, hopes, and fears that were never meant to be kept hidden, but just needed time to be shared. Because they are patient, the listener gets something more important than a clever answer: the truth. The live, vulnerable truth. Being thankful makes that truth stronger, because when you really listen, you can see how hard it is for someone to tell you the truth, how brave you have to be to show up. Being open needs trust. All of a sudden, you're not just hearing words, you're seeing a gift. A moment that might not have been noticed before becomes holy. Buddhism says that everyone is like a mirror, and if you listen without judging, what they say often shows you what's going on inside you. You can feel their fear. Their happiness makes you remember times when you were happy. Their uncertainty is similar to your own search. And in that shared humanity, there is a new kind of thanksgiving. Not just for them, but also to remember that you're not by yourself. Being humble is also needed for this kind of listening. To listen to someone without adding your own story. To not fix, one-up, or compare. To let them take charge of the situation. To make them feel seen without putting your own needs first. Being humble isn't silence, it's power. That kind of strength that lets go and says, this moment isn't about me. And that lets deeper connections happen than words alone. Listening with awareness can also show us how little we really show up. How often do we listen to answer and not to understand? Way too often, we judge what we hear before we listen. However, being aware leads to change. When you become aware, you have the chance to change, to pay attention better, to really care more. In the same way that you would sit with a friend in quiet, you don't have to fix the silence, you just share it. Deep listening is an important part of Buddhist practice, and not just with other people. Listening for the quiet facts that are hiding in your own thoughts, not making them quiet, but listening with interest. The same kind of deep listening is what gets sent out into the world. When you listen to your own problems with kindness, it makes room for other people's problems without defense. Being grateful when you listen can also change a dispute, because people don't have to yell when they feel like they are being heard. The edge starts to fade when they feel understood, even if they don't agree with what you say. Tension goes down. The only thing left is a person who, like you, wants to be known and not judged. Being thankful right now isn't about being right. People need to understand how brave it is to speak up and how kind it is to listen. It doesn't mean you have to agree with everything. It means believing that someone else's experience is real, even if it's not the same as yours. It means letting the talk be a place of coming together, not winning. When you do that over and over, it changes not only the talk, but also the relationship. This stops being a method and starts being a way of being. You don't go into talks to defend yourself, but to learn more, to understand, not to teach. And the world starts to open up as you listen more carefully. Strangers become more like us. People they care about feel safer. And thanks grow, not for what was said, but for the room that was made. It also trains the mind to move more slowly, not to rush on to the next thing, to stay in the present moment. And moving more slowly is good for you, because it helps both of them remember that they can still be present. That depth is still there. That link is still there. It's just hidden by habit and hurry. It comes back, though, once you slow down enough to hear it. When you listen with awareness, being thankful becomes a source of food. To the speaker, it's the food of being accepted. As for the viewer, it's the food of being useful without fixing. And for the friendship, it's the food that trust is slowly growing on. Not from big actions, but from being there all the time. So let this thought settle in your heart tonight. Think about someone you just talked to. Ask yourself, did I fully hear them? Did I let them finish? Did I listen to their story like it was important? Not to make you feel bad, but to remind you of how powerful you are. The ability to make people feel safe, heal, and appreciate each other by simply listening in a different way. Being able to listen deeply is an act of love in the end. When love meets understanding, it always leads to thanksgiving. That should be your habit. In that case, be present. Could that be the reason someone breathes a little easier one day? Just because you were willing to listen. Something special is restored when the mind slows down enough to really hear someone else, when attention turns into love, and when presence takes the place of interruption. Believe how it works. A sense of being a part of something bigger than oneself. Beyond that depth, though, there is often another strain that stays in the background and says, do more, be more, fix more. The voice that says resting is lazy, being still is useless, and you can only find peace by moving all the time. The art of not trying is one of the most surprising things that can teach you gratitude. Giving up doesn't mean not trying. It means giving back who you are. Coming back from the constant urge to change into someone else, to get better, to beat, to keep looking for a better version of happiness in the future. Not trying is not laziness in Buddhist practice. It is truth. Being aware that real peace doesn't come from force. It comes from not trying to push anything. When you stop trying to get what you want, gratitude doesn't wait for things to be right. That moment starts to see that it's enough just the way it is, that the self is not broken or behind just the way it is. It's taking in air, it's living. Nobody should like it because of what it could become. They should like it for what it is now. It's when this truth is seen clearly that the endless striving starts to slip away. The modern world is based on the idea that harder work is more valuable, but Buddhism teaches something very different. Inner peace doesn't come from fighting, it comes from being aware, from seeing what's already there. By taking a break from the chase long enough to see that many of the things you've been after are already in your hands, which changes something very deeply. The stress of not yet is swapped out for the calm of already. Being passive is not what this means. It means being there. You have to choose not to wear yourself out trying to feel something that you can only feel when you slow down. Not trying doesn't mean you don't want to grow. It means you don't want to crush your soul to prove your worth. It's a return to being enough. You've tried a lot of things. Say thank you to yourself softly and whisper, "You don't have to try so hard to be here." Not trying is an important attitude to have when you are meditating. It's not necessary to force the breath. Will doesn't shut down the thoughts. The body isn't forced to fit in. There is no need to change anything. And that approval makes room for something else to come out. Gratitude. Not because they got something done, but because they didn't need to. You start to understand that peace wasn't the goal at the end of the journey. It was the room that appeared when you stopped trying. Being grateful when you're not trying feels different. It's not as loud, not as airy. It's not the thrill of finishing something, it's the satisfaction of being free. The shoulder blades are getting softer. The breath out that means, I can rest now. It's the deep understanding that just being living is reason enough to say, thank you. That being able to do nothing, breathe, and live without being asked for something is not a sign of not being productive. It's what it means to be human. Trust is also built by not trying. Trust that life will go as it should, and don't try to control it. The breaks are where that growth takes place. That healing doesn't always need work. Sometimes it just needs space. That trust makes gratitude grow. There is no longer any power over it. It doesn't wait for success anymore. Because you are free to be who you are, it becomes the normal thing to do. In a world that values hustle, not trying is the most peaceful form of protest. It says, I won't give up my inner peace for someone else's idea of success. It also says, I won't base my worth on how much I do. Finally, it says, I will listen to the rhythm of my own breath, my own body, and my own heart. And when I do that, gratitude comes back, not as a practice, but as a homecoming. When you don't try to do something, even the easiest things feel different. It's fun to walk again. Eating turns into a way to meditate. Speaking becomes a choice. Get out of the hurry and start living your life, moment by moment, not under any stress to win, without being afraid of getting behind. You start to understand that this moment already has everything it needs to be the center of your attention. Buddhism teaches that people often strive because they don't like what is, and that dislike leads to pain. In this way, not trying is a form of compassion. A way to say, this is hard, but I don't have to run away from it. A way to deal with pain without fighting it. of being happy without trying to hold on, of being happy with the present without wanting to make it better. Being thankful grows there. When the desire to change everything goes away, the beauty of what is already there can be seen. Giving up on your goals also shows you how much of life's beauty is hidden. The smile you almost missed, the pause before someone speaks up, how your feet feel on the floor after a long day. This is not an accomplishment. They are things that happen. You start to notice your life in present when you stop measuring it in terms of how far it has come. Then, being grateful isn't just a response to big events. It's a way of being in small ones. You learn new ways to relate to yourself when you stop trying. You stop expecting things to always get better. You need to stop judging every feeling. Stop putting yourself back together like a broken machine. You start to talk to yourself like a friend instead. You start to like the way your body moves. You start to relax without feeling bad about it. Your nerve system starts to heal while you rest. The voice inside you gets nicer. It makes your heart more open, not because you worked hard for it, but because you let it happen. All of that changes with this license. It changes the way you try to reach your goals. You still care. You keep going forward. You're not chasing anymore, though. You are taking part. You're not trying hard. You're interesting. And now that your worth isn't tied to the result, you can enjoy the journey. Being grateful in that way leads to joy, which grows on its own because it's no longer afraid. Many Buddhist teachers talk about the middle way, which is a road between giving in and not giving in, or between not trying hard enough and trying too hard. People who don't try live on that road. It holds care and ease. It says you can move forward without pushing. You don't have to expect perfection if you want to grow. You don't have to give up your peace to live with purpose. Over time, this way of life changes the way you think and feel. The noise stops. There is less hurry, and in its place, a regular sense of thanks starts to grow, not because of what might happen, but for things that are already here. The air, the time, the simple truth that you deserve peace, even if you don't do anything else. So tonight, let that truth give you peace. Give your body a break. Let your thoughts go by like clouds. You don't need to understand everything. There's nothing you need to do. You're welcome to just be, and let thankfulness find you in that. Not as a goal, but as a sign of the freedom that comes from not wanting to be anywhere else but here. Something soft and strong starts to grow when the pressure to always be better finally goes away, when the mind stops clinging to a faraway ideal and starts to settle into the quiet wealth of what already is. You become more aware. You can breathe better. You pay more attention. You have less trouble getting through life. But just when you think you have found peace in your daily life, it comes back to teach you the most important lessons, not through calm, but through struggle. They often come in the form of people who try your patience, push your limits, or seem impossible to understand. Buddhists put their thanks to the test in the most powerful way when they are with difficult people. When everything is going well, it's easy to be happy. When people are nice to you and talks are light. True change, on the other hand, happens when you can look at someone who annoys, confuses, or irritates you, and not only tolerate them, but also really value what they're teaching you. This doesn't mean letting harm happen or putting up with abuse. It means being aware that everyone who bothers your peace shows you something about it that is still subject to change. People are not problems to be solved, according to Buddhism. Instead, they are like mirrors. Every response, pain, or emotional high point is a sign that you need to look inside yourself. People who are hard to get along with often show you the parts of yourself that are still reactive, unhealed, or hanging on. It may be tempting to shut them out, push them away, or label them, but the greater practice is to face the discomfort, not to agree with it, but to understand it. When you understand that these people are helping you see yourself more clearly, you start to feel grateful. This isn't a cute thought. It takes a lot of work. Some people just don't get along with others. Some encounters are rough. There are times when talking feels like fighting. Buddhist advice, on the other hand, says not to fight or avoid the experience, but to look into it. The question is, what does this person show me about myself? What do I think will happen in this moment? In what part of me do I still care about being right, liked, and in charge? It's not because the person gets easier that your gratitude grows, but because your mind stops reacting so much. No longer do you need them to change in order to be happy. You can see the space between what they do and what you say in reaction. That's where choice starts. The choice to listen instead of argue. The choice to stop and not get worse. The choice to become softer, even if they don't. This change is not a sign of weakness, it's freedom. You get back a lot of power when your peace doesn't rest on other people acting the way you want them to. That's when you start to be thankful, not for the disagreement, but for the understanding. You thank the person not because they hurt you, but because they showed you where your work is still alive. You don't thank them because they were right, but because they told you the truth. And that kind of thanks can't be shaken. In Buddhist thought, this is what kindness means, not just wanting others to be happy, but also seeing their pain even when they hurt you. The most tough people aren't mean, they're just hurting. Responding out of fear, pain, or confusion. When you see that, you become kinder. The edge gets rough, the armor comes off. Then being thankful is a form of kindness. In silence, we all agree that we are all trying, failing, and learning. And the fact that no one is the worst thing they've ever done. You change, even if the other person doesn't. There is less anger in you, a lot less ruminating. Stop going over disagreements over and over in your head. Instead of the other person giving you peace of mind, you gave it to yourself by changing how you see things. You start to really value the peace you give yourself. You become grateful for your ability to grow, stay present, and choose kindness even when things are hard. Boundaries are also taught by tense people. They show you where you've been too friendly, too open, or afraid to say no. They make you think about what's important to you. Once you have that understanding, it turns into a strength. The lesson, firmness, and self-respect that came from the stress are then part of gratitude. Those muscles wouldn't have grown without the challenge. Being around people you don't normally like can also make you more humble. It tells you how much patience you have left. It shows what views you have. It makes you less sure of yourself. Being humble makes you more thankful, not just for the lesson, but also for the chance to choose love in a place where it's not easy. That choice turns your kindness into something real, not just an idea. You might even start to appreciate the fact that not everyone agrees with you as time goes on, that you have thoughts in your head that make you think about things in new ways. That makes you think more deeply, speak more clearly, and feel more consciously. You need to be careful around these people because they make you pay attention, not because they are nice. Being thankful is not a response here. It's a choice. The choice to grow instead of shut down. In Buddhist history, there is a story about a disciple who asked the Buddha how to show kindness to someone who is really mean. He answered, "Find the part of you that fears them and show compassion there first." This is where gratitude lives, in the soft spot below the anger, fear, and pain. When you show kindness, people will be grateful. There was no change in the person, there was only a change in you. The people you care about most aren't always the easiest to deal with. Family, co-workers, and friends from a long time. There is history, expectation, and emotional weight in these partnerships. Buddhist wisdom, on the other hand, tells you to be aware even with these bonds. To ask, what can I learn from this? What have I not wanted to see? What change have I held on to about them instead of meeting them as they are now? In these situations, sadness often leads to gratitude. Feeling sad about the relationship you wanted, that person you hoped they would grow up to be. But after the sadness is acknowledged, room is made for something else, to be accepted, to be clear, for love that is kinder, one that doesn't depend on change anymore, but on being known. Not because everything was fine, but because they helped you become the person you are today, you start to thank them. They made your wounds visible so that they could get better. You had to wait a long time before it became real. You were pushed until you finally figured out how the wires worked. That is a strange but strong gift. And when you see it, being thankful is more powerful than saying sorry. You learn to say thank you, too, for not giving up, to keep being soft, for not getting angry, because they healed even when no one else was willing to. That love for oneself is important. It's what keeps you on the ground. What helps you remember that you don't need everyone's approval to be happy? Over time, you start to see difficult people not as bad things, but as secret friends. Guides you don't want, who push you to grow in ways that safety never could. They use sharp tools to shape your inner life. They make you stronger by making you fight it. And in that conflict, you find something that lasts, something real, something that says, "This isn't easy, but I'm glad I learned what I did." As the night gets darker and your mind starts to calm down, think of one name, someone who put you to the test. You were challenged, could even hurt you. Let your breath slowly go over their memory. You don't need to forget. You don't need to agree. But if you're ready, say thank you quietly one last time. Because you found strength, for getting more clear, for the person you went back to because of them. That's not why they got it, but since you do, when you learn how to deal with difficult people in a clear and caring way, another person starts to show up who is even more stubborn, difficult, and present than anyone on the outside. That voice in your head that never seems happy. The person who talks to you when you wake up, whispers while you try to sleep, and attacks everything you do that is good. The reviewer inside. It knows what you're scared of. It remembers what you did wrong. It tells you that you will fail. In Buddhist thought, though, this voice is not seen as an enemy at all. people listened to it. I was aware when I met. In the end, it was thanked, not for the harm it did, but for what it was all along. Because there is a desire to protect underneath all of its brutality that is rarely seen. Most people fight back to shut down their inner critic. They fight it, dull it, and drown it out with other things. But not giving in only makes it stronger. The practice of Buddhism tells us that this voice is not just noise, it's an injured guardian, a voice that was made out of fear and pain from the past in order to stop harm from happening again. The reason it judges isn't because it's mean, but because at some point it thought that criticism could keep you safe. Being thankful for your inner reviewer doesn't mean you agree with it. That is, it means getting it. This means taking a step back from the word itself to understand what it's trying to say. The voice that says, "That wasn't good enough," is usually trying to keep you from being turned down. It may not want you to feel embarrassed when it says, "You're not ready." Its plan isn't working, but it doesn't always have bad intentions. And something starts to change when you face it with this much clarity. It stops being an enemy to you. You start to think of it as a voice of fear that has never learned how to be quiet. This change takes time to take place. The voice of the reviewer is old. Often it starts in childhood. It might remind you of parents, teachers, or friends who expected perfection or only loved you if you did what they said. Over time, you took those lessons to heart and thought that being tough on yourself would help you get safe, love, or success. For Buddhists, though, the goal is not to get rid of the past, but to understand it, because knowing something makes you care about others, and kindness for oneself makes it possible to heal. First, pay attention to the voice. Pause when it talks. Do not push it away. Do not believe it. Listen. Listen to what it says. You can feel the power behind it. Then ask yourself, what is this voice trying to keep me safe from? What fear does it want to control? What would I tell it if I knew it wanted to help me instead of hurt me? This is where being thankful starts, for the safety it tried to offer, not for the pain it caused. You start to understand how it helped you stay alert, focused, and careful. It starts to make you grateful for getting you through times when being open could have been dangerous. This time, though, you told it that you no longer need that level of security, that you can take care of yourself without hurting yourself, that you are creating a new way that is based on being present instead of punishing people. Just because you thank your inner reviewer doesn't mean it goes away. That being said, it changes the friendship. The noise goes down, the words get softer, there is less hurry. A new voice starts to grow in its place, one who talks like a friend, not a guard, one that asks questions instead of making decisions, one that makes you work harder without making you feel less valuable. That sound wasn't made up. It was always there. It had been buried for years by stress inside. It takes time to do this work. The reviewer is going to test you. Even more so when you fail, are tired, or are in public. But every time you show compassion, you weaken the idea that being mean is a sign of power. You start to show a different kind of toughness that says, I can be honest with myself without being mean. I can work hard without hating myself. I have nothing to fear as I grow. Buddhist practice helps us remember that all of our parts are important, even the ones that don't seem like they deserve love. Those in particular. Because what you don't care about gets stronger. What you welcome starts to change. The inner judge is no different. You get your voice back when you honor its original purpose, which was to protect. You start to treat yourself with the same care you give to other people. That kind of care turns into a habit. Being thankful here isn't a loud thing. It doesn't look like a mantra or statement. It's not as loud. It's how you take a moment to think before you blame yourself. That's how you can see your own progress before you focus on what's wrong. When you lose, it's the breath that tells you, even this is human. You can start over with me even now. You also start to see how the reviewer changes your relationships, how its voice changes the way you see other people, how being hard on yourself can lead to being hard on everyone else. And once you see that link, you feel more grateful, not only for the healing that's happening inside you, but also for how it's helping you connect with others more gently. You can feel more peace in your life after this change. You stop expecting things to be perfect. Don't try to hide your flaws anymore. You start to understand that being enough has never meant being perfect. It always meant being real, being awake. Living in the present with all of who you are, not just the best parts. You start to feel something new when they are there. Trust. Have faith in your ability to deal with pain without punishing yourself. Believe in your own strength to grow without feeling bad about it. You can be grateful for a long time if you believe the voice that says, you are learning, and that is enough. Since it no longer depends on how things turn out, if you're ready to stay with yourself no matter what, then yes. So, as the night quiets and the thoughts begin to slow, notice if the critic tries to talk again. You don't have to fight it. Listen. Thank it kindly. After that, be just as honest and say, I hear you. I know you looked out for me, but I no longer need fear to grow. I'm now safe. Now I'm better. I choose to move forward with love. That's not being weak. That's not being selfish. There it is. Change. That's being free. And for that, we should be very thankful. When you stop resisting the voice inside you and instead meet your inner critic with acceptance, something deep inside starts to relax. A kind of peace inside. Not quiet, but calm. Not perfect, but being okay with the way things are. From that peace comes a beautiful energy that isn't focused on showing how valuable you are or getting love. It starts to move outward. It starts to give itself away. When that gift is given without expecting anything in return, it becomes one of the most profound ways for Buddhists to show thanks. Thanks for help without getting anything in return. Giving like this doesn't happen very often. In a world where worth is always being measured, where scorecards are kept but not seen, and where praise is more important than honesty, volunteering without expecting anything in return can feel very radical. But Buddhism says this is where real freedom starts. When the need for praise and the desire for return go away, something more pure than exchange remains. The kind of happiness that doesn't depend on what goes in or what comes out. The Buddha said that being generous was one of the fastest ways to happiness. This is not because it makes the person feel good, but because it frees the heart from holding on. When you give without expecting anything in return, you stop the part of your thought that always asks, "What's in it for me?" And a lot of pain goes away when that question goes away. In service, being grateful isn't about getting thanked. It's about being thankful for the chance to give in the first place. There is no duty to give help, time, presence, or care. Instead, it is seen as a privilege. It knows that to give means you have something to offer. Your body, mind, resources, and energy can be used to make someone else's day better, even if it's only a little. That's a wonder in and of itself. Giving without getting anything in return doesn't make you faceless. It means you're free. You're not stuck in the trap of thinking you need praise. You're not depending on what happens. You're not doing anything. You're only giving away something, and that's enough. Daily tasks are done in Buddhist temples without talking or being praised. Every job, like cleaning the floor, making the food, and sweeping the temple, is done with the same care as meditation. It doesn't get anyone any awards. No one writes about it. But each action is a way to bow down to the present. A way to say, this little thing matters. And the fact that it's small makes you feel very thankful. Because you don't wait when you serve this way. You're not giving something away for free. Stop trying to figure out if someone is worth your time. You no longer keep mental records. You just serve. Then you rest when that service is over, not with anger, but with satisfaction, feeling good about yourself when you know you did something real. There's no need to become a victim. You don't have to lose yourself or forgive too much. The Buddha's teachings are clear. Giving must last. It has to come from being full, not empty. Giving from a stable place, on the other hand, is joyful once you care enough about yourself to do it. It gets bright. It turns into something you want to do, not to show anything, but because it's good to give without any strings attached. Mind starts to open up in a new way when it lets go of, I gave, so I should get. You can start to see how everything is linked, how the water you pour for someone else makes you feel better in a different way. The way every act of kindness plants something in your heart, not to get praise, but because it makes the ground better for growing things. In this situation, being thankful is less of a time and more of a movement. You live it, not just feel it. Giving time is a way to say thank you. You show gratitude by cooking. As a way to show gratitude, you can listen, show up, or clean something that no one will see but will help everyone. That is the great thing about silent service. It deals with everything and is everywhere. This kind of behavior also keeps you safe, because you don't get burned out as quickly when your giving is based on presence instead of results. You're not broken when other people don't see it. When there's no way back, you're not angry. It keeps your heart open because you're not giving to get full. You're giving because you're full. That fullness then lasts on its own. As you serve others without expecting anything in return, you start to realize that it feeds you. It makes you feel better. It makes you less proud. Not fame or wealth, but real connection is what it brings you closer to. There are times when the simplest acts of service mean the most. Giving a friend's sadness space. Taking out the trash on a street that no one cares about. Thoughts of kindness to someone you might never meet. Not a ceremony. It's not bright. Just a plan. Just love shown through actions. And being there with them at that time is like a prayer for everyone else, not just yourself. And that prayer is such a pure way to show thanks that it doesn't even need a name. They also dedicate their practice in this way, not just for their own awakening, but for the good of all beings. Every word, every breath, and every hour of sitting in silence is a gift given to the world. That gift has power, even though no one can see it. This is because even small acts of service done with love can change the energy of the world. It changes how you feel about yourself too. You should no longer judge your worth by how much praise you get. You start to have a regular sense of how valuable you are. You get used to being quiet and trust yourself. You learn that being honest is enough. And faith builds something strong, a sense of worth that doesn't have to be seen to be real. When giving comes naturally, gratitude grows, as soon as it's not pushed or planned, when it comes up on its own, because your heart knows that the joy of giving is not in what you get back, but in giving itself. So, as you slow down your breathing and relax tonight, think about things in a gentle way. Think about how you've helped in quiet ways, the things you've done that no one has seen, the nice things that no one praised. Allow yourself to value those times, not because you were praised, but because they were real. Rest in the fact that giving without expecting anything in return is not a loss. It is freedom. You'll feel free, and that will make you grateful in a way that no one can take away. Being grateful stops being something you chase and starts being something you live when you no longer need praise and when service becomes its own prize. It moves through your decisions, your hands, and the small things you do to show care. But even if you give a lot, modern life has a way of pulling you back into the flow. The days are fuzzy, moments fly by, meaning gets lost, and over time, even the deepest thanks can turn back into an idea, something you feel but can't put into words. This is where the old ways can help you. This is where the tradition comes back, not as something strict or sacred, but as a way to remember, a way to connect your gratitude to something stable, possible, still alive. Rituals in Buddhism have never been about superstitions. They were never meant to make a god happy or fulfill a spiritual need. They served as reminders, points of contact. Over and over, they brought the holy into everyday life. Lighting incense wasn't about the smell, it was about taking a moment to think before you talk. Putting food on the altar wasn't a way to pray, but a way to remember the people whose work made the meal possible. It wasn't about rank that people bowed, it was about lowering pride. This was not a show. They were ways to get in, and thanksgiving flowed through those openings like air. Rites aren't used as much these days, or it's only done on holidays and other special days. But thankfulness doesn't grow when you only think about it once a year. It needs beats. It needs something that you have to do over and over, not because you forget, but because life has a lot of other things that want your attention. Ritual doesn't need hours. It needs purpose. It makes everyday things into holy ground. It's easy to make drinking tea a habit, not when you are in a hurry, but when you are fully present. Taking the cup. Sense the love. Seeing the steam. Waiting before taking a sip. Thanking God for the water, the leaves, the hands that picked them, and the time that brought them here, whether you say it out loud or in silence. That's not a small thing. That shows that you are thankful. It may become a habit to light a candle at night, a way to say, the day is over. I'm still here. Enough, no matter what was left undone, no matter how bad things looked or felt. That little light turns into a sign of recognition, a sign that says, I respect this moment. And when you respect something, peace comes back. For Buddhists, even walking is a rite. Take small steps. Take a deep breath. Every move isn't just a way to get somewhere, it's also a way to get better at being where you are. You don't step to get away, you step to get there. And when that time comes, you remember. You know your body. You remember the dirt. You remember that being able to move is a gift. And being thankful for that is a way to remember. Meals can turn into habits, not feasts, not plays or concerts, just small acts of care every day. Getting comfortable, having food without screens, giving thanks with one breath before the first bite. Taking note of the tastes, taking slow bites. Silence is allowed. These aren't just good habits. Rituals like these bring the holy back into things that are easy to forget. Food isn't just food, it's giving life. And eating with understanding is a way to say, I get it. That makes me happy. I'm not going to rush through that. It's easy to make getting up a habit. Before you look at your phone, before you think about everything you need to do, take a deep breath, one stretch, one thought of thanks. I get to start over. That one sentence changes everything. Your focus moves from what you don't have to what you could have. In a hurry, I became humble. After that, your day starts in a different way. You don't have to look religious to do gratitude practices. They don't need to sing or say mantras. It can even be making your bed, taking care to fold the sheets, making the pillow smooth. Not because it needs to be perfect, but because it shows that you care about this place. My rest is important. This life I'm living is important. Practicing gratitude can also help you feel grounded when things are going crazy, when everything seems too much, when you're feeling very angry. There's nothing wrong that needs fixing. You just need a place to go back to, something steady, putting out a candle, taking 10 deep breaths. Write down 3 things that make you happy. Putting your head down for a moment before you eat. These little things become holy objects. They don't take away the chaos, but they help you remember who you are in the middle of it. Every part of the day in the life of a monk is filled with routines, not to be in charge, but to connect. The bell goes off, you bow, you move around, you eat, you sit down. There is presence in every action. Every action has a meaning, and that stability turns into a safe place, a way of life that doesn't lose anything, where even doing the dishes can be a way to think about how thankful you are for water, warmth, food, and time. That same spirit can be found again in the current world. You can't copy the form, you have to live the function. Making your own traditions. Good morning, good evening. Ones for moving on, ones to ask for forgiveness, ones to help you slow down, ones to wake you up. Not because you have to, but because your spirit needs it. Has to have something to hold on to, something to come back to, something that keeps telling you, you are here. That's enough for now. Rituals of gratitude are another way to fix things. When your mind keeps going back to bad thoughts, when you've kept your heart closed for too long, when your thoughts are all over the place, rituals are like a steady hand that pulls everything together, brings you back, taking a deep breath, after a pause. With just one light, one cup, and one action, you can feel at home. These small habits start to change the way you feel about life over time. Stop moving too quickly. No longer miss it. You start to feel the weight of every everyday event, not as a worry, but as a reward. You can feel the present's heart, how it keeps giving itself to you, over and over. And the way you say thank you for that gift is through your routines. In Buddhism, the road is not about making big changes. You need to remember what is already true. Everyday things help you remember, helps you get back, gives you the strength to say, this life, this quiet, flawed, miraculous life, is worth honoring. And not just when things go well, not just when you feel like it, but most of all in the middle of the everyday. That was dull. What a mess. The little. That's the home of routine. Around the edges, in the middle, in the background. Being present with it, on the other hand, makes you feel something new, something that can't be taught or found in a book. The feeling of respect in the body, the memory in the body that this is not nothing right now. Pick one thing to do as the day ends, one small thing you can do every day. You need to slow down, see, and respect one place in your life. It does not have to be long, it only needs to be true. Let it be your way back to being present, going back to thanks, coming back to the deep sense that this air, this touch, this light is already holy. It only wanted to be seen. One truth stands out after hearing about the quiet power of change, the wisdom of loss, the strength that can be found in stillness, and the holy beauty of just listening. You don't have to wait to feel grateful. It's a way to see. As you go through this crazy, messy, and deeply valuable life, keep your eyes open and your heart soft. People today are told to hurry, get things done, and fix things. However, Buddhism asks for something different. It tells you to hold on, to take a breath, to bow, not because you have to, but because you respect what's already there. Every lesson you've heard is more than just information. It's a way in, a way to get back to the peace you've always had. One thing that is true for all of these is that you don't need more to be thankful. You can be grateful through silence, forgiveness, mindful eating, or the simple act of lighting a candle. Just pay attention. When you do that, your life starts to change, not because it got better, but because you could finally see it clearly. As you fall asleep tonight, say a quiet thank you one last time. Not for what isn't there, but for what is already here. The air, the quiet, the chance to start over. What did these lessons do for you? Write "I choose gratitude" in the comments below to let me know you read them all with an open heart. Also, if you want more lessons like this to keep you grounded and help you grow, click the bell and subscribe to the channel. More wisdom is on the way. For now, have a nice sleep. You're being held. You're good enough. You're already whole.